And we're back here once again with another episode, the Iron Man Podcast, episode 526 with Mrs. Magitek Mags. Actually, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, MSK or Iron Man, Tap G? I don't know who
Uh,
to call you these days.
I'm all the aliases, actually. Like people like to make fun of me for the whole Top G thing, but it's like I love how people do that online. They're like, "You're not that," and it's like that's why I have the alias, because the person is usually gonna just latch onto that as something. Usually, always works for people generally for the most part. So,
Mm-hmm.
as you guys know, we were supposed to do this actually a long time ago, but she was always standing me up. She was always picking other guys. But one time, she was like, "You know what? I'll give MSK a proper one-on-one."
Well, it's like I finally have the time. Well, right now especially, and so yeah, I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. I know I've been, standing you up there for a
Yeah.
while.
She was like, "I'm not gonna be like other girls, I'm not like them." And I was like, just I was like, damn, what did I do? Because it's crazy. Is the person that runs your podcast that you appear on,
Mm-hmm.
Dames and Dorks, know me. I actually met her in real life. My friend
Mm-hmm.
was like, he was like, "How'd a girl that hot talk to you?" I'm like, "It's because I'm top G." So what are you talking? That's why, yeah. But meeting Nomi was great. People have to understand. People ask me, "Did you have any other pictures of her that you took when you met her?" I was like, "Yeah, there's a lot of pictures I didn't get a chance to post from that event because it was this phone right here. The screen was cracked, and then one day it was working fine, and then I came back from my break. I was probably eating something greasy, and the screen just messed up. It turns on. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
dead. There's just a ton of pictures from events that I went to that basically it's a waste of money, but I guess it matters for memories. I have to basically go pay $90 to get the screen fixed so I could charge the phone and take the stuff off of there that I need. It's not dead. So yeah, if there was anyone that I met at a few events that I didn't get a chance to post your pictures, not because I didn't want to, it's just because the screen literally died out. So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
the screen just got
That
messed up. Yeah.
That's what happens. I mean, they phones usually end up, crashing and burning. Just like so many times I've had to
Mm-hmm.
um make sure I have to get a new phone case for my phone because
Mm-hmm.
I end up dropping mine a lot. I don't know why. Like you just holding it and then you bump into something or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mine
so
always
far,
happens at some point. Yeah, at some point it will drop and it'll crack, and I'll usually keep the cracked screen. But then I realize to myself, if it's cracked, if you eat anything that's bad, it'll just seep in there. That's why you get those big black blotches of stuff.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I understand that. Yep.
Oh shit. Well, since you may come back, like my dad, you might come back
Uh,
for second appearance at some point. So we'll start here before we get into any of the other juicy stuff. How was your life growing up, actually?
I mean, pretty well. I mean, like, of course, what is it? I have two older brothers.
Mhm,
And like, I don't know whether it was like this for your family or anybody else out there, but for
mhm,
me, like, you always hear of people, especially young parents these days, or parents of kids in general these days. They seem to say, "Oh, well, my kid needs this, my kid needs that, needs an iPad, needs a new iPhone, needs a new." A lot of kids that I remember, even in what is it? Definitely in middle school and high school, I noticed, you see name brands like Lacoste and things that some kids wear because I went to a private Catholic school, but growing up, I don't think I'm not going to speak on behalf of my brothers, but I don't think like any one of us really understood the concept of what's the cool thing to wear or the brands or what nowadays it's all about brands and what you're wearing. Like our clothes came from Sears. We were very, I mean, we lived a very frugal lifestyle, but none of my parents really I appreciate my parents so much that they did everything in their power to give us the most that they could, but we never knew what was better for us, if that made sense. Like we did not, we were, I wouldn't say sheltered in that way, but more like we weren't aware of the world in terms of how it is. And, I'm very blessed to be living in a household like that with, parents that are still together, and two older brothers who are, married and have kids of their own right now. And it's like, I mean, for the most part, like my childhood growing up was pretty good. Like you played outside, you rode your bike, you did stuff outside. Nowadays, every time I hear something, I remember several years ago where everyone's like, "Oh, drinking out of a watering hose is bad for you," and I'm like, I did that all the time." So
not gonna lie, I did that. Not gonna lie, I did that. That's probably not good to do at all, but we did it because we were just trying to stay hydrated and stay outside longer.
Yeah, you didn't want to come back inside, and I don't know. I still think it tastes fresh. I don't know what people are talking about in terms of like the watering hose being terrible. But anyway,
remember, like after the Saturday morning cartoons, your parents were like, just get out. My mom was just like, get out.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, they were like that too. I mean, they, of course, we had the Saturday morning cartoons where watch WB Kids and Fox Kids all the time, because those were the two that you always switched back and forth on. And yeah, so growing up with that, I grew up with watching, of course, all kinds of shows. I grew up watching like Gundam Wing. I grew up, or at least, especially on, of course, the legendary, back in the day when it was still good, Cartoon Network Toonami show that came on. Then, what is it? So watching Toonami, getting introduced to anime through that, Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon were like the ones that I grew up with, especially. Of course, you grow up with the Spider-Man animated series, the Batman animated series, Justice League, all the after school programs that I remember watching growing up. And of course, me and my brothers all had well, it was them, but they had the Nintendo Entertainment System, NES, and of course the SNES. And oh man, playing Rainbow Road on the SNES, y'all, was like the hardest thing back then. I mean, back then, because remember when the Wii came out and they came with like that wheel remote or whatever, so you
I remember that
turn your hands. Oh yeah, we did that, and it still didn't. We did that with our own controllers and such. I mean, that was kind of how it was, and it was highly competitive whenever we would create our own tournaments with that, especially when the cousins would come over and everything. Split screen on the TV and all that kind of stuff, of seeing all the everybody where they're at in terms of the race. But yeah, I mean, it's childhood growing up was, I mean, pretty uneventful. Of course, life comes and goes.
You were born in the 90s, right?
I was born in the late 80s. I'm an 88.
Born 88?
Yeah, 88.
Okay, so you're like right after Top Gun.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, with having two older brothers, and having boomer parents too. I grew up old, if that makes sense. Like I had to, because I'm the baby. Like in a sense, of course, when you're a sibling, especially, you want to do what your siblings and all the other people are doing. So I grew up on black and white movies, and from not just black and white old classic films, but also things like, Clint Eastwood and, John Wayne, to Rocky Balboa, to, all kind of, 80s types movies like Short Circuit, Karate Kid. I grew up on a lot of the classics that way. So it's always so funny. I may not have seen everything, but whenever I meet somebody who hasn't seen, like, like The Lion King, or even Rocky 1. If you have not seen Rocky 1, I'm gonna be like, what is wrong with you? It's like, or even like the Godfather series. Like the Godfather series is a great movie series.
What's crazy is I've never actually watched those two.
You would like it. You watch the first one. The first two are fabulous. They're great movies. Godfather 2 is also, I feel, is slightly better. But that's
what's crazy? When I was talking to YuGiOh Paisano, who people know as VCTRFS back in the day, he had
Uh-huh.
said, "You never watched The Thing?" And I was like, "No, who's that by?" He says John Carpenter. I was like, "Wait, John Carpenter? That's the guy that did the Halloween movie. That's one of my favorites." I remember I watched The Thing for the first time, and I was just like, That's one of the best horror movies ever made. The movie is just so good, you know. And if you go to the comment section of like movie clip scenes and stuff like that, you have
Mhm.
so many people in those comment sections go like, "Damn, how do we go from this to whatever the fuck movies are now?" It just really blows your mind about, even if you watch like The Dark Knight, you know, like Batman's interrogating Joker, and people said, "Well, we went from this to Birds of Prey, How the Mighty Have Fallen," right? Like they don't just
I
make them like they used to. Like that saying is it's true and valid in a lot of different franchises, you know?
Well, and it's funny with my background with having growing up with movies from like the 30s and 40s and watching every single, every movie. I wouldn't say watching every movie, but you know what I mean, like watching
Mhm.
movies in every single from every single decade. It's amazing how far we've fallen. I mean, it's just we had quality movies. You think about it. We had in the especially in the late 90s, early to mid 2000s, we had fantastic movies. I would even include like Iron Man in that because that's
Mhm.
2008. Um, we had so many good movies, and then all of a sudden, for me, in my opinion, right around 2010, 2012 was when I started noticing the decline of movies.
You know what's weird
Um,
about that era? We had a lot of those movies that came out in that 2009 to like 2013 era. That I
mhm.
think that was the last era of movies where we had it where there it has still some relevancy of normal, you know?
Yes,
Like they
yes.
movies still kind of felt normal. I think movies that came after 2014 and 20 like about the 2017 had this like
Mhm.
odd feeling about them. They were trying so I feel like movies after that year 20 were just trying so hard to just be funny. They were trying so hard to just do different stuff, like be edgy, is what the kids say nowadays. You know,
Yeah.
because remember, because people think this remake thing is a no. They were doing a bunch of remakes back in like 2009, 2010. But when
Okay,
they
I mean,
didn't do well, they just stopped because they realized the money wasn't there. They had more sensibility back then to be like, okay, fans didn't really jive with this. Let's just kind of move on. You know, a bunch of people just sort of attacking people back then. That was like, what the hell? That's a new thing. I was like, what? Executives are blaming fans for the movie not failing. What the hell? That
well,
was so surprising to me.
and it's so funny you mentioned there are remakes. There have been remakes all throughout movie history.
Yeah,
I
you know,
mean,
it's weird how people only just talk about that now. Like, remakes have always been a thing, or
they've always
reboots.
been
You
a
call them.
thing, but the
Mhm,
thing is with those types of remakes, like there was Cleopatra, the one that we
mhm,
all know of, Elizabeth Taylor was actually a remake of another, I think a 30s version of that.
mhm,
And then you have Father of the Bride with Steve Martin from the 90s, late 80s, 90s era. That is, that was also I would say a remake of Rachel Wine from the 40s with Elizabeth Taylor again, and oh gosh,
mhm,
oh, Spencer Tracy. So
mhm,
it's there's the thing is it's gone on in Hollywood before.
mhm,
However, it's with great actors and actresses as well as good directors and the good writing. And it wasn't filled with modern day isms, as we say. A lot of it, again, I don't mind remakes. My problem is looking at what we have today versus of what we used to have a long time ago. You can't compare the two. You can't compare, like, well, if somebody comes at you and says, "Well, why, well, you like you like The Father of the Bride or whatever," but I'm like, but I like both versions because I think both versions are great movies
mhm,
versus their remakes. I feel like today they're remaking, it's almost like every single news item now is about, here's a remake, or here's a reimagining, here's
mhm,
something else, here's something. I'm like, all right, enough with it. It's kind of
mhm.
like it gets to the point where I don't mind remakes. It shouldn't be almost every single movie announcement at this point. for a remake
Yeah,
of
because we
something.
forget The Thing is a remake. The Thing that John Carpenter's most known for, even like after Halloween, because it was crazy. Because that movie came out, people know the story about it. It came out, it theoretically, even from back then standards, bombed, but it
Yep.
did so well based off home video sales or DVD sales or VHS sales and word of mouth that it just carried a legacy that has lasted. Like that happened with Family Guy. There was just a different way that things got praised back then, and news just traveled. If things were good, which held true back then, things are just good. They just naturally had good word of mouth, and people just talked about it consistently.
Right.
Like I think when it comes to like all like, what they're thinking, I think for Hollywood, I guess the only way, because I was trying to look into a lot of stuff about like how they like to run as a business.
Mhm.
They're thinking, because if they announce something that already has a big name brand value attached to it, that's going to get people to come out. They think just because it has a big name attached to it, people will just naturally want to go and support it. Like that kind of would maybe hold true back in like 2010, like we said 2009, but people have changed so much since then. Like movies are not guaranteed to make money anymore. We know that. This is not like something we're making up. Movies are not guaranteed to make money. Movies now barely struggle to break even. This is with big name franchises too that people know, because
Well,
people just don't value the theater experience as much anymore as they used to.
well, you can probably blame, the thing
I'm
that
black. I
happened a
blame
couple years
everything.
ago. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but everybody is thinking it. Well, we can blame something like that. That definitely. I mean, I know for me, it definitely does. Not talking from a movie experience perspective, because I really didn't go to the movies a lot because one, it was expensive for our family, but for two. I think my parents were more wanting to wait until the movie came out to make sure that the movie was okay, except for Lord of the Rings. We made sure to see that in theater. But I think too, prices have gone up. Not I'm not going to be talking about that side of things because I don't want your channel to get hurt either with that.
Me, I would never.
But then we also had our routines completely screwed up during the thing that happened a couple years ago. So
In Yu-Gi-Oh, we have a thing called Crush Card Virus. I'm not even kidding. Konami was so far, Yu-Gi-Oh was just so far ahead of the curve. There's multiple virus cards called. One is called Eradicator Epidemic Virus. I'm not even kidding.
oh my gosh, that's so dumb.
One's called Deck Devastation Virus. One's called Full Force Virus. So for
Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh turns, glad I have a Yu-Gi-Oh background because I can just use those and nothing happens.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's just, it's just amazing how everything has changed, and it's not only that, but
Mhm.
brands are no longer are trusted. I think with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
age of social media is also like a pro and a con. It's a
Mhm.
pro in that things are so talked about so quickly at your fingertips now. It doesn't take as long to get to the normal person. I'm not going to say normies because sometimes people use that as a derogatory word. I would say normal everyday people who are just trying to live life.
But that's
And
what they are, though. Those people are usually considered casuals. I never knew that was a derogatory thing to call someone a casual. A lot of people are casual with many things. I'm
I
casual
mean,
with some stuff,
I'm a
you know?
casual too, but I think people use it in such a way of like, well, they're normie. I'm like, well, yeah, please introduce it so I can know and learn better. Like,
See,
don't
my
talk to.
brain works. When I learn something, I have to learn almost everything about it. That's just, I have
Yes,
to.
yes.
I'm-
Well, you want to appreciate it and you want to take it seriously because it is important not only to if it's important to the other individual that's passionate about it, but you want to understand the inner workings of it too. And unfortunately, with today is you know people are seeing like everybody is now seeing stupid crap that's being either sold or propagandized, so to speak. I mean, I'm looking at you, Disney, and people are kind of going, wait a minute, what the heck is going on here? Here are trusted brands that are basically being destroyed from the inside that people can't trust anymore. You could sit if it were 1990s Disney, you could easily sit down and let your kids watch 1990s Disney without a problem. Now you have to almost filter and screen through everything. And with the power, at least with the power of social media, you don't have to worry about news agencies trying to control the narrative, or other people trying to control the narrative in terms of saying, oh, this is safe, and everybody's waking, everybody had to stay home a couple years ago, and I think that's when everybody started waking up, because now they were seeing what their kids are not only being taught in school, but also what is being shown on TV, because you're at home almost 24/7. So I think people are just either fed up. It's the cost of living has gone insane, and people's routines have been absolutely destroyed and disrupted from it used to be many, many years ago. So I feel bad for the movie theaters, but that's hot. Stop putting the blame on fans, guys. It's Hollywood. Hollywood should do better. Hollywood keeps preaching to the audience that we should be doing better, but no, it should be the other way around. I'm not the one producing this crap. This is, I'm sorry. This is called capitalism, baby. And if it's crap writing, crap quality, propaganda, agenda, all this other bull crap that's in it, I'm not going to spend my money on something like that. I'm not going. For me as a single person, it's at least $20 to $25 a pop. If I want to have a movie ticket as well as like popcorn and drinks, it's like, forget it. I could use that 20 to 25 bucks somewhere else, like playing a video game. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I could find other ways to do it. Plus, everything is a subscription based at this point. So you have all of these streaming services, which is going to be a bubble, because there's no way that anybody could have subscriptions to all of the streaming services at this point. But a lot of times too, people are just waiting on things to go on streaming, and you're not going to be making money that way. There's no money in streaming, to be quite honest. You would have to have everybody on our planet Earth be subscribed to your platform.
What's interesting about that is because it's only reported that Netflix is the only profitable streaming service. You remember a few years back they had that really big day where $1 billion or $2 billion of their stock just crashed.
Yep.
Because the thing that you said is very true. A lot of people don't get that with streaming, is that basically it gets to a point where you can't really gain new subscribers or as much as you used to, because everyone that has already would have been subscribed to you is. And the streaming numbers, they themselves are very deceptive, because I don't know if you have a phone carriers partner with streaming services. Basically, they take both ends of the profit. So, like, how many of those subscribers are there just because they have like a phone, they're a phone carrier with them, rather than that person actually being a sub to them? I imagine it's pretty big, honestly. And then right there, how active of a subscriber that is, because people don't really talk about this kind of thing. So, like, you have a subscriber on Netflix. Well, is that an active viewing person, or do they just watch like one thing and they just kind of just fuck off with it most of the time? Those are very important things, because they have all these big numbers on these streaming services, but are those like active subs you have?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You can of course Netflix is going to be the major big dog in the streaming war, because they were the first ones. And I wouldn't say the first ones, but they were the ones that became popular, where everybody had, from Warner Brothers to Disney, and all of their brands that they carry, they had all of their stuff on Netflix, movie wise, shows wise. So Netflix was like the major hub, and that was easy. It was, back then I think it was what, like $8, $7 or whatever a month, or something like that.
They also got popular off other people's stuff, like what's the one with good lord, fucking all The Office. They had all the MCU movies. They had basically everything before, because they were the only one. And then you had and then people just had Hulu. Hulu was the one you used mostly for TV when you didn't watch the episode live. So like they owned the market to get all those people, and they didn't get popular off their own stuff. They got popular because of other people's stuff. When they made their own stuff, it just outside of like what is like Orange is the New Black, what that they had that was really, really popular. They didn't really do so well, honestly, you know?
It's
But
they had
they were
their
already
own
there
popular
first. Mm-hmm.
yeah, they were established first. Again, it's always about quality and near the beginning. And it's kind of like where Disney was many, 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 many years ago, where you could trust Netflix, because it's a brand name that people are used to. It's kind of like saying, I Googled that. Well, let's Netflix, let's watch Netflix. I Netflix tonight or whatever. It's kind of like the same thing where these brands, these companies have established themselves with quality, but then they decide to just completely poop all over the place on their customer. So
Mm-hmm.
Netflix is a mixed bag, of course, in the last couple of years, because there was Cuties, there was,
Oh my
there's
god.
been other things.
Yeah.
But then now it's like, and then they crap all over Cowboy Bebop, but then they pull a One Piece, and it's like, lately Netflix just seems to have a hub where they allow for crap, but then they allow for quality too. But the problem is they don't put the quality where it counts. Like the Witcher series, and what is it? They pooped all over that one, especially
Mm-hmm.
the fans with that. And
Remember
it's
the
kind
Texas
of
Chainsaw Massacre movie they came out with a while ago? That was awful. That might have been one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. That shit was that shit was trash. That
it's
shit was so bad.
it's just amazing. But then, of course, it's so funny, that you'll look at the Nielsen ratings of all these streaming services and such. And of course, the number one, or at least the top 10 Nielsen ratings, which include real reruns, not, it includes new and reruns of shows. It's always going to be the reruns. What is it?
Mhm.
I know, what is it? The Office is always popular as a rerun. Um, there's all kinds of shows that are popular for reruns, and they top new shows. That should tell you. I don't understand why companies are not looking at that and going, "Hey, maybe we need to look into why these shows are so popular again, and reevaluate ourselves, instead of, putting out these other shows that clearly are not doing well or sitting well with the customer."
I think
So,
it's because like interest isn't there either. I think a lot of things that got as successful as they did because back then whatever they had made piqued people's interest because it usually starts from your brain being like, okay, do I really want to like watch this? I know a lot of people go back and forth on like a lot of other things, but at a baseline, what you truly want to get invested in, you'll be naturally interested enough to just go do it.
oh yeah.
There's just not been enough interest from what they've been announcing to really just get people. They I know people use the like that new recent Ryan Gosling movie that came out called Fall Guy, and people were
Mhm.
people said they watched it and they liked it. It wasn't that it was like woke or anything. People said they watched it and they enjoyed it, but it just didn't have enough interest because not enough people were interested in a property like that to get a movie. They keep announcing stuff that I don't think they do understand this because back then they kind of got a lot of free passes for a lot of like bad stuff. Even back then, movies came out and were not good. Some of them still made a lot of money because that's all we really had back then, right?
Right.
Now, since there's so much more, as you said before, there's so much more disposable ways to keep yourself interested in something. You don't have to just go to the movies. Do they even know what the average fan wants out of any franchise? Who they're hiring to make it, who they're hiring to direct it, write it, all that stuff. Is that something that someone is willingly going to go out and spend their money on? Because I think Eric talked about this in he said the Riververse success. What is someone actually going to open their wallet for, pay you actual money for, versus what like they say they're gonna do? Because
Ex-
that's two different things. Because like, even the fans go like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a really good sequel to make," and it's like, are they really gonna go out of their way to go pay for that? Like a good example of it'd be like, I don't know if people don't like Grace Randolph, but she did make a banger tweet one time that I did agree with. It's crazy. Old white ladies making good points, all right? Remember
Hey,
the
hey,
Bluetooth?
a broken clock is right twice a day, so.
Hers is like once in a century. Remember the one where she made where she talked about the DC fans, where she mentioned that DC fans on Twitter will say they like whatever idea Warner Bros. Is doing, but then when it comes out in theaters, they don't actually support. That's what people do on Twitter a lot. Like even like people that I know like some things. We'll go back and forth on this on stream all the time. And I just at the baseline ask, were you interested enough in that in general from just the announcement that you were going to go to the theaters and see it? You know, because people can use the argument of like, well, if it's written very well, that doesn't matter though. Because if not enough people went to go watch it, you wouldn't even know if it's written very well. And that's a subjective thing anyway. I think they're just announcing stuff people just don't give a fuck for. Because that's how humans work.
It could be. It could be that maybe Hollywood has, and I mean, some people are may disagree with me about this, but maybe Hollywood in general has run its course, and it could be because it's just like this. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Things change over time where it's like you always hear things. Well, when the light bulb was invented, people will be like, oh, that's whoa, scary, we're so used to candles. Well, guess what happened? Nobody uses really candles anymore to light their house. The horse to the car, or to the bug, to the motorized buggy, as so to speak. It's kind of like those types of evolutions in technology and standard of living, as well as luxury, changes over time. And yes, I would say Hollywood is considered a luxury because it is entertainment. It is, it's a luxury for us as far as the audience is concerned. It's a privilege for them to get our money. So there's that. Let me reiterate something like that. But however, just like with evolution of art, just like with anything in evolution in terms of how things have gotten from, caveman days to now, it could be that Hollywood has run its course. Will there be a hopefully in a sense a renaissance eventually in the arts in Hollywood and entertainment in general? I don't know. I'm not a I'm not in depth enough to be able to explore those types of forecasting or trends. However, I mean, look at it from this perspective. You had the silent silver era to the talkie era. That's what they call, movies these days. We are talkies, basically. Being able to do that, but it's kind of like it's evolutionary stuff like that, to the point where sometimes things do get stunted or stagnant until somebody else discovers other entertainment that far surpasses that, or surpasses something else, like a paradigm shift. And it's just, maybe Hollywood is run its course. Maybe it's gotten too bloated so much to the point where they have forgotten who they really are. They have rested on their laurels too much. I mean, we've seen that from awards shows and everything else, that they think that they're still better than everybody else. And I'm like, no, you're not.
And they've even, and that's one of the things that and you could say nerd culture has just been totally just people just don't give a fuck for anymore. Just straight up, no one cares at all. Is award shows like Golden Globes, the Academy Awards, the Grammys, any of that stuff. Nobody cares. The only reason why people even cared for the one a few years back was because Will Smith had slapped Chris Rock. If he hadn't did that, no one would have cared the event, because literally no one cared the event was going on to begin with. It was just the only thing people talked about because it was the only thing interesting. Like I mean, I'm not saying the MTV Awards matter, but they canceled their award show last year. I really don't understand, because award shows don't mean anything. They never really have. It's just an accolade, and I imagine it feels good if you're a director and you got that. I'm not taking that away, but it's like if you tell someone your favorite movie won an award, they're like, all right, cool. Like that doesn't really sway them over or anything, Like award shows have been totally useless these past fucking, 5-6 years, actually. The other thing you mentioned, which is running some course, I think superhero movies have did that for a lot of people. And people call it superhero movie fatigue or whatever. I always believe it's just like this. Genres have peaks and genres have down points. Every genre's had this. Horror, sci-fi, Western, any genre has had this. I don't know why people think of superhero movies is not going to have that. For some reason, they thought they never were going to have that. It's like eventually it was going to be that way. It peaked at a certain point. There was a lot of highs for it, and eventually it's going to be in the low point. Arguably, you could say it was in the low point before, but that's a debate. That's a debatable thing for some people. It's just not in its peak anymore. This is what most genres do. They average out like this. It took a long time, but we're now at that point now, you know?
I mean, you make a good point of like during Hollywood, there is the era of the epics. You had really big type feel. You felt like the movie itself, not necessarily the budget could be high too, but like Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur is very massive in scope and scale in terms of in depth and everything, just like Cleopatra, just like the 10 Commandments. It's just like Michelangelo. It's like all all of those, that was a big era. And then it was a lot of World War II type movies. That was a big era. And then of course there's a lot of, like you said, there were the westerns, the cowboys, the westerns. That was a big era, but then that fell to the wayside. So it's kind of like there are trends, ebbs and flows in terms of what the audience wants. And I think sometimes Hollywood, they find something that's golden, like Iron Man, and then they beat the audience to death with it, basically. And it's granted, for me, I will never get tired of superheroes. I don't think it's necessarily superhero fatigue. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's too much and the quality for so much is crap. So everybody is tired of crappy superhero stuff.
Yeah, because people don't even know what the word. This is how people on the internet are stupid. When people mean super, I think the average person, when they're having this discussion on the internet, they think like superhero movie fatigue. They hear that and they go, "Oh, well, movies are better." No, fatigue, as by definition of a word, means tired. Yeah. Over time, people will get tired of something. But the thing what people need to understand is an average person is not going to admit something that's going on with them. People that are drug addicts can't even admit when they're an addict. How is the okay? I wouldn't expect the average person to admit that, hey, I'm tired of just the genre. Kind of maybe feels all the same, because that was the thing before this ended up happening too. People were saying a lot of these movies kind of feel the same. There's slight differences here and there with some of them, but they kind of just, I'm getting the same shit. Over time, people just kind of will get tired. It's just a thing that happens, like it happens in TV a lot. Like TV shows, as you know, start out really strong, and then by like the later seasons, the ratings get kind of like stagnant. They don't really peak or get lower. They're just kind of like that, People with superhero movies make all these different little like arguments, and it's like, this has happened in every genre. Why is this one so special? Why is this one suddenly immune to all these other nonsensical things that you wouldn't make for the other ones,
Exactly. And for me, I don't have a problem with superhero stuff. It's just, I mean, look at it this way. If the right people come along, I mean, look at Spider-Man. Oh gosh, what was not the latest one where all three of them were in the same movie?
Oh, No Way Home. Yeah.
No Way Home. That one was a success.
Really good. Yeah.
It's really good. I don't think people are tired of necessarily Spider-Man. I think they're tired of the direction of where he's going or where he's been. And people went because there was, first of all, a lot of talk and a lot of possibilities of Tobey Maguire being in it and everything else. And it's just, I think a lot of times people, they forgot that magical element as to why the audience fell in love with the thing to begin with. And they need to stick with that. And the problem is they keep wanting to change it into something else, into this quote unquote modern audience thing. And I'm sorry, but that does not exist.
It's like unicorn.
Well, and it's, I hate to say this or have like, let's have like real definitions here, guys. We all live in a modern age. We're technically modern in of itself. We are a modern audience. However, I understand that I'm trying to say the right words here. Um, propagandized media
Yeah.
outlets
Mhm.
like to twist words and change the meaning of things. And we've seen this in real time many, 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 many times. Or they try
Mhm.
to co-opt a word and change it to something else, like their use of modern audience. Technically, we are a modern audience. I mean, if we're using phones to stream, then we are a modern audience. I'm sorry, that's just
Yeah.
how it is. But the problem is they use it in such a as a signal for something, and it's a red flag. And maybe my particular college degree has made me very aware of how words are used in terms
Yeah.
of leftists in general and everybody else who like to use words to enrage people or get people upset. They like to do that to be able to cause havoc and disruption. But it's they use it to signal boost. So that's why I always like whenever I read an article or read like any headline, I kind of go, they're using that word not the way they're supposed to, but they're using it for something else. And that's why when they say modern audience, that's always going to be a red flag, because I'm like, well, we are in a
Always.
modern we are technically not we are not the definition that they're using, but they're redefining what that is. And I'm like, but that redefinition of it, whatever that modern audience is that they think it is, doesn't exist because they don't have the money. So they don't have the money. They don't have it for that. And it's, if they did something like if they kept, for instance, what's a good one? Blade. We've been hearing about Blade a lot or whatever. Can you
Mhm.
imagine though if they actually had the people behind the original project or what have you, or people who love Blade, who are passionate about Blade,
Mhm.
who give it a proper sequel,
Mhm.
for instance? Do you think people will flock to that? Do you think it'll make a lot of money? Of course it will. Because you
Yeah.
know why? Because everybody knows it's been respected. That quality of work is there.
Yeah.
However, we're looking at things that Marvel is doing today, and they're not respecting their own work.
Not even
So of course,
that. They keep releasing shit for characters that nobody even knows. Blade would work because, to be fair to Blade and Wesley Snipes, they technically made that character popular, because when that character, even if you look at the history when it first appeared, Blade's really only popular because of those movies. No one really goes out and buys Blade comic books. So Blade can work, right? But if
right.
they're making movies for characters nobody knows, not even from a hole in the wall, right? And I know people are going to use other examples, but just this is kind of like the reason why certain things can't always work. Because the MCU had that narrative of like they kind of took like under-known characters and made them popular.
Mhm.
Some of that is kind of true. Some of that is also not true. Perfect factor in. Let's use Iron Man, for example. Iron Man actually had 2 animated series to himself, was featured in several animated Avengers movies. I would never really call that character underrated. I don't know what underrated character anyone knows that has had 2 animated series attached to their name and was a part of movies. Like, let's just go, because to drive my point home, we'll have to go down the original Avengers lineup. So Thor, I imagine people will think of the name Thor from like Greek mythology. That's not like an underknown thing, right?
Mhm.
Hawkeye, probably the most underknown character there next to Black Widow. Probably the only two. If someone doesn't know who the Hulk is, they were probably not a superhero fan and probably just a complete normie in general. How do you not know who the Hulk is? It's like, come on. You don't have to read books to understand that. Captain America, no way he's underrated. No way. Everyone should know who Captain America is, right? And so
Right. Well,
people use like,
it's kind of
go ahead.
like, how do you not know Spider-Man at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, like, if someone says a Hulk is underrated, okay, all right, bro, we're out of conference. We leaving. I'm not even having that with someone. Or Guardians. Yes. So people use the Guardians example. The reason why that worked is because James kind of came in something that was already established by other successful things before. And not every single one of the first original movies from the MCU phase one were successful at all. Some of them bombed essentially, but they were in it for the long haul, which is something that you could do back in that landscape, back in that time period. The Guardians were underknown. He kind of did make them popular. That can't happen with every character because not every character is as interesting as they are. And even from the comics, people who have said they're kind of not that bad. If you make movies for characters nobody knows at all, not even from a hole in the wall, no one's gonna go to the theaters for that because they don't know who they are. And just in general, they're probably making shit for like F tier characters. People just don't give a fuck for now. There's no way you can make money off that.
It's not only that, but like as I said before, Marvel also does not respect its own work. And when I say that, I mean that in how they're using even the characters from the comics that they, you know, look at Black Widow. I mean, not only from the comics, but also from the movies themselves, they didn't respect her character. I mean, they clearly don't respect their own work. So when people look at that and they think of that, they'll look at that and be like, you know, I really don't want to watch a movie in which I know that they're gonna crap on their own work, their own previous work, who does that? How do you crap or crap on your own work that in general, in terms of like, and pass it off as it's entertainment? Now, granted, I understand this is several decades worth of work, meaning it's been, one hand to the other hand type of thing, in which it's not necessarily whoever's in charge of it now that is technically not their work. However, I'm looking at the whole of Marvel, and it does not look like the whole of Marvel even respects itself. So it's kind of like, how are you expecting me as a fan, as an audience member, to sit there and want to give praise to people who clearly do not like themselves?
Also, if they want people to go to the theaters to watch movies, you should probably give them movies for characters people actually not just know what they'll care about, right? I told people this before. I don't hate this movie, but I don't like the idea that they did this. Was Avengers Endgame and kill off Iron Man. Iron Man as a character, Tony Stark, was able to get them literally billions of dollars at the box office. It didn't make sense to kill him in the movie. Doesn't and and like they have those articles where they're talking about, well, because these people are in the know a little bit, are talking about like they're struggling to kind of figure out why the audience isn't coming back. Not only is it just all the stuff you mentioned, I promise you, they are giving out characters nobody knows about. If you announce a movie with Iron Man, Captain America tomorrow, guarantee people show up. They have those characters in that universe have that level of massive impact on people that people would go. Now, announce a movie with, I don't know, Maria Hill and fucking Photon. We'll probably ain't gonna be watching that. Just saying, because that sounds boring as hell. They took away a huge money grab character because I don't know why, honestly, because fucking reasons. I really don't know, honestly. It's a stupid idea to kill him off. Because now they don't have any star players. Who are the star players they have now? You saw Doctor Strange 2. Can't have that one. Can't have that guy. Trash now. Tom Holland Spider-Man. Well, Sony's got control of that, and they're still battling for that. T'Challa's dead. They didn't want to recast him. We don't have that. Who else you got? Oh, that's Noah. Well, there you go. There's no one. There's no big players. Hulk is a loser. Thor. Chris Hemsworth himself said Thor was trash in his recent movie. Thor can draw in money, but not as much. He's been kind of like, his stuff's all been kind of done. Not even big players can get you money now because they're not a big draw anymore based off of these people. The quality of work goes into that too. Like Agatha, who is that for? Who knows who that broad is? They're just making they're making properties for characters just like an F tier character. Who is that?
It's funny. I didn't grow up on reading the comics because I didn't know about that until later kind of situation. It's kind of like what you grow up with and everything. But I grew up with I grew up with the X-Men animated show. I grew up with, of course, the Spider-Man animated shows. It's just, I grew up with a lot of the things in which everybody grew up with in terms of, they fell in love. So there's the comics, there are the animated shows and what have you. I'm like, Agatha Harkness, who? I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm a casual in this regard of
and that right there was the reaction. Yep.
Yeah, that being the superhero, I'm a superhero fan. I mean, I grew up on Christopher Reeve and Superman. That's like, he's my favorite. I'm sorry, guys. He's my favorite one. Not Cavill. But
you like Cavill with his shirt off.
No, actually, I'm not part of the, I mean, I think he's attractive, but I don't think he's, some people have, they have the hots for him. That's fine. Ladies, he's gonna be a father. So,
I mean, I don't know. His
But
acting's not that good. People overrate him so hard, but it's okay.
I
He's
think
hot. He gets out of that
I
privilege.
I think he's good in that I know he's good with with what I saw when he was much younger. He was in The Count of Monte Cristo.
Mm,
So I remember him from those days, and so he has the acting ability. It's just unfortunately he's been used wrong, and that can be that's a phrase that can be used in multiple different ways because clearly the production teams do not never really cared for him
mhm,
enough. They never respected him. Talking about respecting also your actors, your fellow characters, your story. I mean, here you had the big three of Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. And even Marvel, like they were wonderful. They were well established. And let's just look at the movie MCU part of it. Now, to move forward to today, again, as I said before, Marvel does not respect its own. Look how much they've crapped all over Thor and how they disrespected him as a character. And it's kind of like
yeah.
nobody, I'm sorry, but nobody's gonna, no audience, real audience member, real person who actually is a human being to say the least, is gonna be okay with that because they're gonna be like, what? What happened here? I mean, look at the whole Star Wars universe too. Look
Mhm.
at how they disrespected
Come
Luke
on, Disney's doing a
Skywalker.
great job.
Yeah. I mean, another Disney product. But look how they disrespected Luke Skywalker and the previous, beloved characters that everybody loved. So it's kind of like if you don't respect them as a creative, then who are you? Why are you here? Why do you have so much
Mhm,
power over this? Why are you even making this? Eh, That's why I see remake after remake, and then now we come across with now Hollywood is in the year or era of everything is almost practically a remake and or everything is practically a sequel or some sort of another.
Prequelitis.
Yeah, yeah, prequel and sequel and all this
You know
other
what's
stuff,
crazy
and
about
I'm
that
like,
Furiosa thing and the Andor thing
yeah,
you're talking about? They
yeah.
know. Actually, it's been factually proven that prequels and things of that nature, even by TV show ratings, do not do well. Yet they keep doing them. They even proved it. There was actually a video that I started to release about it after the Mad Max Furiosa problem. Prequel movies in general do not do as well as any predecessor. I don't think that's ever happened, really. I maybe for like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, maybe it happened. So they know that's not not even close to profitable idea, yet they keep doing it. I don't know why. Prequels
It,
already are going to be at a disadvantage because you know the events that have already happened after. They're already at a disadvantage. It's really hard to create meaningful stakes for prequels. It just is, you know? I don't
well,
know why they keep doing them. I'll blow my mind completely. I don't know why they keep doing it.
it again. It's you can't make everything a sequel. You just can't make everything a prequel, and it's just it doesn't like look at Gladiator. Gladiator right now is having Gladiator 2, and it has some interesting elements to it, but at the same time, the first one was like literally had no notion of wanting, there was nothing there to garner a sequel. It was a great movie, great standalone movie, perfect. Yeah. You're telling me you're not hyped for Shrek 6? I have not seen. I don't think I've seen 4 and 5.
No,
Uh
no, they're gonna make five. So you've not seen four. Four was
oh,
I enjoyed four. I think the second one is the best one. The second one is so good. I like
I
the first one
love.
too.
I mean, the soundtrack that the music that they chose for the
The
second one,
soundtrack
and
alone, the second one is so much better.
the story and the characterization.
The
I
fairy
think
godmother is so like I didn't mind the
yes,
first one. The first one is like a Disney princess basically an ugly prince saves the cute lady. I didn't mind the first one. I really do like the first one. I really do. But the second one is so much better. It's so much stronger.
it's so much stronger. I mean, you get introduced to Puss in Boots, and that
Hmm.
also gave us a pretty good, it's like a side franchise all on its own. And it's
Hmm.
kind of like I'm okay with prequels and sequels. The problem is when that's all they can do, and you have to learn how to be able to say no. Like, no, we don't need that. That's not something else. To me right now, it just seems like Hollywood, like there could be other projects out there that are new and what have you, and sure, it's up to us to be able to talk about them. However, maybe nobody's talking about them because maybe the audience is not interested in them either. So it's kind of like
Frozen 2. You think I watched Frozen? I'm not a 5-year-old girl. What the hell?
Frozen 2 or Shrek 4.
I watched Shrek 4. I thought it was pretty solid.
I haven't seen 4, so I cannot say, but Frozen 2 was boring. So
I didn't watch the first one. It was something that just didn't appeal to me. I just was like, all right, I'm just
well, the first one was okay, and it's, not a bad movie. It's, I wouldn't say it's great, but it's, it's decent. It's a decent film, but the problem is I don't think it needed a sequel at all. It's kind of like one of those things where, I think other movies deserve sequels better than other ones, and nobody they seem to want to go in a different direction. It's kind of like wanting to do I know, what is it? Uh what is it? Like if they did, hey, I'm trying to think of a good one that would be that has not had a sequel that is good.
Oh my god. They're doing I guess you
Oh,
could see the
Treasure Planet. I wouldn't say it
oh
needs a
gosh.
sequel.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs a sequel, but if they had that team back on Treasure Planet, uh it would have been interesting to see, you know, to
Yeah,
see
because I'm
characters
always
all
saying
grown up and
I'm
everything,
not
and
saying you can't do sequels either, but the problem here, sequels, like we said before, also have an inherent disadvantage because if the first one is always looked at as pretty good, you're already starting off on a high note, and that could be a good or bad thing. Usually, if the
mhm.
first movie is very bad, people always go like, "Why do I even need one?" But there are instances where it can work, like Top Gun Maverick is one that can work. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh yeah.
but I feel like then you get into another type of weird shithole where that's the only one people can use, and it's like, well, if we can only use one example in like modern times, that means obviously the ideas aren't working, because if people only have like one or two or maybe three times where something has worked, that's not good. That's pretty bad. If you only latch into like two examples of it working, you know
And
so
that shows you where the creative juices are not there. Creativity, like, you hear the term creatively bankrupt. I mean, I'm just looking at it doesn't even have to have propaganda in it. And a movie doesn't have to be necessarily
right,
woke.
some of
Woke.
right,
It
yeah,
can be
yeah,
it could be like a crappy movie, and it's kind of like
just dog shit.
it's dog shit, and it's just like, how, where
Like
are,
I said,
like,
that's the
at
thing
least with Top
I've
Gun
said too.
Maverick, yeah,
I
Top
have,
Gun
yeah.
Maverick is, a little bit same beats as the first one, but but the thing is, it's in a time of today,
Mhm,
it worked because it is different, and it's, the team behind it is clearly a team that's very passionate about it, and it played on a little bit of nostalgia, which is okay. You can still play on nostalgia a little bit,
mhm.
um but clearly, I mean, clearly the passion is there, and people know that people like Tom Cruise is going to respect, not only the characters but also the story. And I think a lot of times the audience is not stupid. The
Mhm.
audience is smart in picking up on that. That's
Audience can feel when you phone something in. I don't think people are.
exactly.
I think the audience can be kind of stupid on like what is considered a good movie, but that's a subjective thing. You can debate amongst yourselves. Because I even told
I
people this
think
because I've watched. Yeah, right.
I think the audience knows when a movie is what it is. Like,
Yeah,
some people, like, that's why I don't trust people like a Grace Randolph or other people who are like,
why not? Or
this
what?
movie is
It's my
cinema or
girl.
amazing, like this is a triumph and all that kind of bull crap.
Oh no! Usually when it's used that word.
Well, not only that, but it's like, I think the audience, people will be like, "Well, why did this movie make so much money?" I'm like, because the audience realizes what it is. They don't think it's the greatest movie of all time. The audience is there knowing for what it is and also enjoy it for what it is. I think people have forgotten that kind of category of looking at a movie too, is that, oh, people people will be upset over, like, for instance, as much as I don't really care for the Barbie movie, the Barbie.
You know what's crazy? The person that is in the chat was my friend in real life. He said he just recently watched it too. He said he didn't like it at all. He said it was garbage.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet myself, but I've not heard many good things about it. I heard it's a, how do I put this? I heard it's a social commentary essentially on like if men and women's roles were switched. And I'm like, that sounds actually stupid. That sounds, why would I watch that? It sounds honestly terrible of an idea. But then again, who knows? I might watch it and enjoy it. You never know, honestly.
Yeah,
Some movies are.
What is it? I'm looking at the chat right now. Shrek 1 for the win.
Oh my God.
Spider-Man 2 is better than 1, even though 1 is really good. Toby movies. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that.
And even those could be interchangeable things. Like if you get 2 really good movies, but you think the sequel is generally better, people usually tend to go like, all right, that's cool, but we can still. Nowadays, if you say you don't like something, oh my God, you insta-phobe, and it's like, bro, I'm just trying to talk about movies here. What are you talking about? Fucking weirdos.
That has nothing to do with this movie or the quality of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, there's 2 things I wanted to bring up to what you said earlier. So there's movies, because I watched, because man, I haven't had much time recently to keep doing this, but I've been so busy. I love going to theaters and I love watching movies in the theaters. People don't understand. Some of the times movies just don't even have propaganda or like they're woke or whatever. Some of them these days are just so unbelievably bad. They're just not good. I mean, Halloween Kills, that movie, there's nothing woke in that. That movie's just a steaming pile of crap. Some movies are just so unbelievably bad. I don't understand why people stop going. Movies are just unbelievably bad. Stories, dialogue, pacing, fucking soundtracks, all that stuff's bad. I mean, I can probably just count on like my hands for a number of how many movies I went to theaters and saw that were actually good. Remember Snake Eyes YuGiOh Origins? That movie stinks. The Flash, that movie's terrible. The Flash is horrible. Shazam 2, that movie sucks. Ant-Man 3, that's trash. Doctor Strange 2, that's pretty bad. Just saying, like, some of these movies don't even have to have a message in them. They're just not good at all. From any standpoint, it feels like they just phoned it in. They don't care anymore. Also, another thing to bring up, which is I guess you've seen it online. So you've been online a lot, like I have. You know, remember back in the day, you just like talk about movies and you just talk about like the scenes in it, like your favorite parts and everything. Now people are trying to question oh fuck, you didn't like that black actor? You must not like black people. And it's like, where did you get that from? Where in the world did you get that from? I didn't like his acting, so I mean, I hate his what? That's mind blowing. That's actually crazy. That's people are trying to reach and call people like racist for not liking a actor's performance in a movie. That's beyond cringe. If anyone ever does that, I'm just like, all right, this conversation is over. You're a weirdo. Done. It's not worth it. Like, people are trying to find racists in film commentary. You must have no life if you're doing that. That is ultra cringe.
I mean, like, I know, what is it? I know, like, for instance, Mahler gets accused of stuff like that. And I have listened to Mahler for a long time.
God.
But the thing is, he doesn't really make any commentary on any of that stuff that he gets accused of at all. He only just talks about, the story, the plot, the characters, everything. And it's just like, where are these people? These people are assuming things.
They're just making up stuff in their own head just to project as a narrative.
So that it keeps them validated. Like, that's not how it works. That's not even an argument for
happened with
validating
the
your own
Acolyte,
opinion.
right?
Yeah.
It happens with all these shows that come out. The reason why the media never, and I'll give credit to them when they make a few good articles here and there, and we can talk about it on shows. I mean, I'm not that much of an egotistical person most people think. Happens with all these, let's use the Disney Plus shows for the MCU and Star Wars. Happens every single time. Rather than talk about what is actually in the shows and why people don't like what's in the shows, like the characters and everything else, they talk about all this surface level stuff that doesn't matter. That's all the surface level stuff as far as like, well, I got online hatred and like all this, because that one's weird too, the whole online hatred thing, because that means they went into this going like, oh, well, everyone's just going to universally love this. And it's like, well, no, that's already weird that you even think that everyone would just love it, because they consider any form of criticism hatred, any of it. Even if you say like, hey, I don't think this character's good, you hated this. Like, what are you talking about? You know?
I'm starting to come to a certain well, especially through observation, because I've even
Mm.
seen it from, you know, some people in similar spheres or spaces, or adjacent, or whatever you want to call it. It really doesn't matter. This space is huge and everybody is pretty much mutual to somebody else. But
True. Mm.
I've seen commentary on this of, you're just hate watching, or you're hating on something or whatever. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but if I find the Acolyte something to laugh at, I'm looking at it as a comedy. I'm sorry you
Mhm.
can't find the like I'm not hate watching it. I know it's going to be bad, but I'm hoping that they will prove my preconceptions wrong. However,
I always
I
hope,
am
yeah.
going to laugh at it if it's dumb and bullshit.
Well, it's
So
also the
it's
thing
like,
with the whole hate
so why
watching
is
thing,
it
like you said,
so why
yeah.
is it so why is it like, oh, you're just hate watching. You shouldn't be watching if you're hate watching. I'm like, okay, I'm
But the
sure
reverse
there's
is
been
also
multiple.
true too.
Yeah, it's like, so what? So you're just watching it for just, there's toxic positivity too, where everything, you like everything and anything, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
you don't have much of a personality if you don't have a dislike somewhere. I'm sorry, like,
Hmm.
I don't like pineapple on pizza, but
That's
that
true, because
doesn't
it's
mean,
trash.
yeah.
Yep, it's true. Yep. Pineapple pizza is straight up garbage. That shit is bad.
But at the
And
same
you know,
time, it's at the same
yeah.
time, I'm not, it's fun to go back and forth with people on that, because it's just fun to go back and forth with
Yeah.
people on that.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
called banter. It's called, just ragging on each other or whatever it is. It's just, it's okay to do stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm still gonna try it if somebody says try it, and I'm gonna again watch the Acolyte, because I'm hoping that they'll do better, even
Well,
though
you want to have an
all
informed
signals.
opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I want to have an informed opinion on something. I can't
Hmm.
talk. You can't have it both ways. Where if you dislike something, don't watch it. Okay, but I'm going to speak out against the Acolyte because I'm a Star Wars fan. So I'm going to get upset when something like this happens. Well, you should be able to watch the show to be able to commentate on it. You just told me I shouldn't watch it because I'm going to dislike it. So like,
Well, the
you
inverse is
can't
true
have
for a
it
lot of
both
people too.
ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't. And then some people now, I'm starting to see this a lot.
Hmm.
Well, this is just rage bait or engagement farming or all this other stuff.
Literally,
And
what the internet's always been.
I'm sorry, if you're on the internet, if you even have a social media account, doesn't matter what you say, you're there for attention and you're there to engage with people. Oh my
Crazy.
gosh, crazy. Let me,
It's
like, I'm sorry,
insane.
you're just doing this for engagement. I'm like,
It's like what the internet's always been. It's like
what?
literally what it's always been.
Like, okay,
That's
okay,
not a new thing.
okay, let me clap for you to being, virtue signaling on your own belief that you're not doing the same thing here. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's like people are using hate watching, or they're doing all this stuff, and they're jumping through hoops, and they're like, well, if you're so miserable and you just like, no, I've turned it around and looked at it as a comedy. What are you talking about? I enjoy it in that regard. Is so
Yeah.
why can't so if everybody else can interpret things, why can't I interpret it? Why can't I interpret the way I want to interpret it? So I'm sorry, like, I think what it is, people, I've seen this where it's like, well, why aren't you enjoying anything? Or things like, you're just doing this to rage bait or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I have an opinion and you're trying to police my opinion on something. I thought
Hmm.
we're not supposed to be doing that. And it's like, I don't care if you don't like it. That's your problem. I mean, why is it like, if you don't want to see something, you're gonna hate on something, or you're doing this and doing that. I'm like, okay, that's great, awesome. I'm glad you don't like what I say. What are you gonna do about it? Because I don't care what you say. Good for you. Let me clap for you. Want me to give you a golden star for being so brave and stunning? It's kind of like, it's getting ridiculous. And it's like, if you don't like seeing stuff like that all the time, then just unfollow or mute. Like, move along. I don't like, some people just want to be passive aggressive because they want to make themselves feel better about themselves when they make commentary like that. And it's just it's stupid because I'm like, all right, cool beans. Want me to give you a, you know, a golden star or a cookie or something like that for
I like
feeling
cookies.
better?
Don't treat me with a good time, woman. I love chocolate chip cookies.
But you see what I'm saying? It's the same for whatever
Well, the thing
reason.
I wanted to bring up was the inverse is all true on them too. So they'll
Yes,
use
exactly.
neurotic for example. They'll be like, "Well, I don't like this guy," but you watch his videos because you literally, well, not just parrot what he says because that means you'd be listening. They'll literally say things he kind of mentioned in the video, even though they lie about them. That means
Yep.
when you use the same argument for yourself, if you don't like Gary or whoever, don't watch them. But they don't use that same line of logic. It's only just a one-way street. Like with the Acolyte, for example. This goes to any media. If my thing that I like to do on the internet is critique movies and shows and anime or whatever, then that would mean that I would watch bad stuff and good stuff. And people are gonna be like, what do you mean by that? Because you're not always going to be watching something good or bad, depending on how you feel about that, right? It doesn't matter, okay? If your thing is critiquing just media in general, okay, there's going to be times you watch something and it's not good and you talk about it. And then at that point you move on. But at least you have an informed opinion about it and then you move on from it. What they want you to do is basically, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Yeah, that only really applies to like people that don't really do this for a, like, not like a living. That would apply to like someone that doesn't have any skin in the game, right? Like a dad who's just taking his daughter out to the movies because she got a good grade on her homework. That's what that would mean. Because they don't care enough to really be putting in the time to talk about it. Because I don't really understand that if you don't like it, don't watch it. That's something that you as a person would go, hey, I don't like this enough, so I'm just giving up on it. I did it with Star Wars a while ago. I did it after Obi-Wan. It's like, I'm not watching these shows anymore. They're just not good. Why am I wasting my time? But eventually, I will eventually watch them to review them because that's what I do. So if people are critiquing media, why would they stop watching it? If their audience likes you talking about it and the audience wants your opinion on it, then you give it to them. Contrary to popular belief on the internet, people say like older film is always actually that's not true. Average people want to know what is the opinion on the newest thing because there are people that aren't perpetually living in the past constantly. Someone's going to ask you, what is your opinion on the newest thing? They're going to be like, well, like Jaws was really good. It's like, oh, fucking hell. Thank you for telling me something I already know. What is your opinion about this new thing? Well,
and it's not like just that, but it's like, we already know that there are plenty of good movies in the past. You know why? Because we have already talked about them
to death.
We have already talked about it years and years ago. We were all growing up, or our parents talked about them, or grandparents talked. Again, it's already been talked about. So it's just like water cooler talk at the office where we used to. Give me my cookies.
I want cookies now.
I'll give double chocolate chip cookies just for you guys.
But
anyway,
you home wife and make me cookies. I want cookies.
Oh my gosh, homemade cookie sounds good right now. But anyway, right? the thing is, if like I think it's just because people are on social media so much that they get tired of all of this other stuff, and it's just, how do I explain this? It does come across. It does come across as policing somebody else's opinion or censoring.
We're done. We're done here.
No. That's a no.
Tastes like crap. What is wrong with you?
That's like trying to go back to an ex or something.
Oh no. Or Society Reviews pointed this out on one of the shows. Basically, there have been people. I mean, this exists in. It's not like in a. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't take this offensive to anybody. This is just what people have. Some people's lives have been so dedicated to this because, like, as nerds, people kind of like branded themselves with properties because that's their escape. Some people's whole identities come from this stuff. So when they see someone attacking it from their point of view, they think they're attacking it and it's their whole livelihood that's getting shattered. That's why people generally, when it comes to this stuff, have always been considered losers because your whole life shouldn't be dedicated to this kind of thing. Remember, at the end of the day, it's still make-believe. At the end of the day, it really is just make-believe shit. you know? So if you get so bent and butthurt out of shape because someone doesn't like what the newest thing in a franchise is, you got to look at yourself and go, okay, what is going on with me? You know, people take this stuff so seriously, and it's like, dude, like it ain't that serious, man. If someone doesn't like the newest thing in a big franchise, and if you like it, cool, have a conversation. But if you're trying to do that thing of like, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it, it's because what they're inherently trying to do is they're trying to have one less negative voice on their favorite thing. I don't think people actually think hard enough in the other direction, like you said, to really know that. I think their point of view is like, well, if I can get rid of this one negative voice, and I can get rid of them all. But now there's like a bunch of negative voices, and people got to understand, a lot of the things that I've watched, people aren't even really being negative for the sake of being negative. They're just giving their opinion on what they generally think is going on. I don't think it's just negative for the sake of being negative. And to be fair, there'd be no way for you to prove that anyway. How do you know that person's doing that? You can't prove that. I'm not in your brain. It's something that you just generally think someone's doing, you know?
Well, not only that, but it's like, you know, I love the typical phrases of like stop hate watching. I don't know. I kind of think of hate watching is the same term, is used in the same way as like when people say, well, this is hate speech. I think it's like the same thing. Hate speech is just people use that phrase to throw around on things that on people that, you know, the things that they dislike people saying. So they say, oh, you know, I dislike that, so that's hate speech. It's the same thing. You're like, I don't like your criticism or your commentary, that's hate watching or something like that. I'm like, come on, people, get over yourselves. If you don't like what somebody is saying, just move the fuck on. Excuse me for saying it like that. It's just like,
that's fine. Yeah.
It's like there's nothing stopping you from scrolling by. You can point out, you can criticize somebody else's criticism without attacking them specifically. It's kind of like, but that's the thing. You're allowed to have your opinion as long as you're able to articulate it in such a way that's not attacking the person itself. You're just attacking the words. But some people just take it so personally because, like you said, it's almost like it's like an identity or a characterization problem where everything, I love Star Wars, but I don't make it my identity. And it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
I can still criticize a thing I love. By the way, it is okay to criticize someone or something that you love. It is okay to do that. You know why that's okay to do that?
That's because often how you get better things.
That's often how you get better people too. I'm sorry. You like somebody does a wrong. They lied to you or whatever. Are you going to criticize them for it? Absolutely. But you still love the person. It's the same thing with parents to their children. They discipline their children. They still love their children, like I'm talking a normal family.
Yeah, not crazy retarded parents. Yeah,
exactly. I'm just talking in that regard. That's still a criticism because you know what? You love the person. You want them to get better. You want to be better. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Why are we allowed to criticize something or show something that's wrong because of other valid reasons, but then people will come out, and I've seen it with people who get upset with like, oh, well, why are you, there's more people, I've seen this in some mutual circles where it's like, well, why are we still talking about Star Wars? I thought we're not supposed to be watching Star Wars anymore, blah 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 blah. If you're going to be in the entertainment business and you're going to want to talk about movies and film and everything else in between, you're going to have to talk about the good and you're going to have to talk about the ugly. I am sorry.
People don't understand that. I fail to understand why people don't get that.
Yeah.
Even back then, movies were not good. Obviously, it's always been a good, bad, and there's that middle ground of like average to decent. And you know what happened, people? People still made reviews back then of the worst movies I've ever. My God, I watched that. Back in the day, I was younger. We watched that really bad movie with Adam Sandler. It's called Jack and Jill. Movies fucking terrible, But then you could have say after that, I watched the movie after that was really, really good. You see the point there? You're gonna have to just take the good with the bad when it comes with media. That's just what it is, And I'll be honest with people, you go out in real life. Ask if most people aren't going to be talking about the older stuff they do on the internet. Even when it comes to like comics or anything, I can't tell you how many times I've went out to places when I normally do. how many average people, we're talking like, dads with like 2 kids, moms have like 3 kids, whatever, how much they ask for the newest stuff. Don't let the internet trick you. Narratives on here and in real life are vastly different. Also, if you like a content creator and you're giving them, like, I don't know, your precious time that we don't get back every day, that's just gone after the minute's over. If that person, is watching it because they care about what you may think of their opinion, and you're giving your opinion because you want to make sure you're keeping your audience happy because they're the ones giving you their time. I would hope that it matters to average people, that you have an audience that cares what you have to say. If they want you to talk about the newest stuff when it comes to anything, I don't know. I think that should be kind of respected there. A lot of people don't. People are just kind of taking their audience for granted. And look, not like everyone. I'm just, small cases. Like it's kind of weird, egotistical thing. Like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but if that audience is kind of there for you to talk about that, I mean, that's what's going to get you the most attraction. Are we not supposed to respect the fans anymore? If that's what that person wants, it's like, well, I should probably do that. Should I not? That person wants my opinion on that, and you have to gauge it differently each time. It has to be a case-by-case basis thing. But naturally, people have already seen why XTV. I guarantee you guys, people have probably watched thousands of videos about why The Sopranos is really, really good. I promise you. But people have generally want to hear about the newest thing coming up. It's just how life works. I'm sorry, despite what people may ever tell you wise.
Well,
Tang, what's up, man?
It's ironic. I'm also of the opinion that if you really don't like you can have, guess what, guys, you can have different opinions at the same time. Woo. If you truly honestly don't like watching something or like it anymore, you don't have to watch it. But I'm not going to tell the person to not watch it anymore. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird to me how people want to control narratives, or they just want to control somebody else's opinion or something like that on it. I'm all about debates and trying to talk through on why something is not good quality. I'm okay with that, especially if there's disagreement going on. But to tell people, well, they're rage farming, their engagement, rage baiting or whatever. No, we are actually passionate people about the things we love. We don't like it when people don't respect
Didn't happen
that.
with the Fallout show recently? Happened with the Fallout show recently. There are people that just thought it was pretty good, people that thought it was pretty bad. And it got into like this weird heated thing of like, because like you had the other side. They were like, aren't you guys expected to not like everything? And it's like, oh my goodness, this is how bad the internet has become. The reason why certain circles are created is because you can have because people came under the umbrella of like a common ground that the new Star Wars stuff isn't good. And I agree, it's not good. But like I said before, multiple thoughts. Just because Star Wars isn't good, that automatically means that everything that comes out is going to be that level of quality, which is dog shit, right? That means that people will naturally have disagreements on any property. It's literally that's what it's a case-by-case basis kind of thing. It just boils down to like, well, they might actually make something that you like. Shocker, that not everybody's trash. Not everything's coming out is going to be bad. Like with the Barbie movie, some people said they liked it. Some people said they didn't. But but there was this expectation that you wouldn't like it. And it's like, no. You when you watch something, it should be a fresh experience for yourself where you watch it and you come out with a perspective. Now, if that perspective is the same as other people, then that's cool. But if it's not, that's also fine. Both are fine. But you shouldn't be expected to just not like it because other people don't. No, that is called being an NPC. That's not what I do. I don't do that. There have been plenty of, recently there was that Chris Rock Saw movie, Spiral. I thought it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. People said it's bad. Cool. Let's have a conversation about why you think it's bad or why I think it's good. Awesome. Let's go for it. Was it expected that I should just not like it because Chris Rock is doing it? That's like, I don't know where that comes from though. You can have different perspectives on different franchises because that's why you have the perspective. If a different franchise offers you different things, then naturally you would have a different perspective on it because there's different way it's going about itself. The Fallout show is probably the biggest example of people generally, some of them generally liked it. And then they had this back and forth on Twitter. Like, why are people going back and forth? It's expected that you don't like everything with each other. Like you said before, content creators. A lot of people watch content creators, and I like these guys too. I really do. But some people, only kind of like their opinion has a lot of weight, and it should. Their opinions are very well thought out, and I like these guys' videos a lot. I really do enjoy them myself. But that shouldn't mean that you think about it the same way they do. They have their own opinion. You respect their opinion because you like them. Now they'll also, I even know some people in real life, guarantee it, because I met them. They'll respect you even more if you have your own opinion. I guarantee you. They might not like it, but they'll respect you more if you have your own opinion, because it shows you have cognitive thought of yourself, you know?
And not like that, but you actually, you know, your likes and your dislikes, and you can articulate your points well in such a way that are reasonable and make sense. You know, you can back up what your opinion is on something based on what, you know, with reasonable qualifications. It's kind of like, I mean, it's not necessarily qualifications as if you know better or something like that, but it's kind of like you can talk about it from your own perspective, your own experiences, what you know, what kind of genre of movies you like, or, you know, what have you, depending on your back, you know, you have to look at the entire picture. You can't just kind of go focus in on one thing. And then if somebody is criticizing you over your or disagreeing with over your opinion because, okay, we don't, you know, the Acolyte is trash, which it is trash. I'm sorry to burst the bubble on that one. It is trash. But at the same time, it's like, I also have experience in watching other movies and shows that are probably similar in genre that are of better quality than the Acolyte. And I can compare the two because I actually, you know, you have to be a well-rounded person to be able to look at everything. And, you know, a lot of people will say, well, like, well, why, if you know it's going to be bad, why are you watching it? I'm sorry, but I also have to read, watch, play video games, uh, everything. I have to experience. You have to experience life to be able to get a well-rounded, well-balanced life.
That's how perspectives change. That's how your perspectives grow. Yeah,
perspectives to be able to formulate an opinion to determine that yes, the Acolyte is actually trash because I actually have perspectives on it. It's like, it is okay to say that. Like, some people just don't want to hear it, or they want to see positivity all the time. I like positivity too, but it's a matter of, it's not my responsibility to make that happen. That is that person's responsibility to make that happen. And if all they see is, you know, ugliness on the timeline, maybe they need to change their perspective of things, because maybe their own life is ugly. It's like, come on now, stop it.
Yeah, so like when people understand, if you consumed enough media, like I have, and you have, and a lot of others have, when you consumed enough, you kind of get a general feel of not just, because people like to use the word objectively. I think it's so cringe sometimes. Just not even objective or subjective. You get the understanding of what you personally enjoy and what you also don't personally enjoy. Because I'll be honest with you guys, when I watch something, I'm not factoring in what other people's opinions are going to be about it, because I'm not a hive mind person. I'm not an NPC. I care about what I think about it. And hey, if I'm wrong about something, I'll just admit I'm wrong. That's fine. I think a lot of people, when they're watching something, only create their opinion about what they hear after about it, you know, based on what other people have said, which is not good, you know? And if you watch enough media, you just kind of can understand and feel what is good or bad from just your own perspective. But if you don't watch enough of it, you just won't get a different perspective. And if you don't watch anything new, you won't. If I didn't watch any new media, I wouldn't understand why it's bad. I've watched a lot of it. I know why it's not good. I can just tell you just from a base point why it's not good. But if I didn't watch it, how would my opinion have any level of value to you? You'd be like, man, you're just talking out your ass. And which would be even worse. It's actually worse to talk out of your ass because you're just talking out of nothing. You're just lying essentially to your audience, which I think is bad. As I said before, you don't want to watch new stuff, that's fine. But you don't get to have an opinion on it because you haven't watched it. What are you talking about that? Are you talking out of ghosts? Talking out of this? It's the new media in the room with you?
Well, it's not like it's like, okay, so, yeah, we get the, you know, we get the articles that come out that either, you know, start trash on the fans before the show comes out, looking at you, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Kenobi show. But it's like, okay, so yeah, there's sometimes there's some signals that are out there, but at the same time, you know, I'm still going to watch it because I have to have an informed opinion on it, because we've seen this happen before where actors and actresses say stupid crap all the time. I mean, they've done this for decades. I don't understand why people, you know, don't realize that. But it's like sometimes just because they talk stupidly outside of the movie doesn't necessarily mean the movie or show is going to be bad. But at the same time, we also get, you know, inside scoops and knowledge or whatever in terms of the shows and movies that are coming out that do indicate that they're bad. I'm still going to watch them because I'm sorry, some of you know, you can't tell nobody can tell me what to do or say. I like talking about movies and films and entertainment and video games and everything else in between that I like and enjoy and that I dislike and just, don't enjoy. It's okay to do that. Like it's nothing.
Mhm.
We've been doing this for a long
I don't
time.
know
I don't
why this
understand
is
why
such a.
it's
I don't know
why
why
it's
you shouldn't have to explain all that stuff now. That should just be super self-explanatory. That if you did it before, things have just changed differently to the point where more people have like access to talking to each other of doing it. Now,
I mean,
if you know what I'm saying. Nowadays we gotta start explaining stuff from like back then all the way to now, and it's like you gotta do it step by step. It's like I'm not trying to explain everything. If you just don't get it, you just don't get it. You
well,
know?
it's almost like yeah, we all choose what we're not like. Are there going to be things I'm not going to watch? Absolutely, I'm going to be like, you know what? That's just not. That doesn't seem like it would be. You know, it would be a waste of time, either time cost or financial cost, what have you, to watch a thing. That's fine. If somebody else wants to do it, that's fine too. I don't really care. And if they want to talk about it to me about it, I'm going to ask questions to, have a conversation back and forth. But I'm not going to tell them, well, if they don't, if they disliked it, why did they watch it? Or if they feel like it's going to be a bad film, but you're going to watch it, like, okay, fine. People can watch whatever they watch, whether they're going to go in disliking it or, actually you leave disliking it. It's like,
Another example, a good example is
who cares?
X-Men 97. A lot of people thought, I don't know, because given Marvel's track record recently, people were like, I don't know, red flags. And we had the Morph thing, and I was like, okay, I don't know. It's just up in the air. It's a coin toss, up in the air. A lot of people came out liking it. See how that can work? And
Oh yeah.
sometimes I even think a lot of the actors lie, because I watched Lightyear, and you know how people said the gay kiss was gonna be no, I literally watched it. The gay kiss is not only not a big problem, they also cut away when it's about to happen, so it doesn't actually happen on screen. I don't know if it happens in the home video version or on stream. When I watched it in theaters, it didn't happen. Actors were just straight up lying. Some of these guys, I don't even think are even telling the truth anymore. They're lying. Like people even said the morph thing was not a big deal at all, never even referenced. Then why are we mentioning it then? Are they just inherently trying to tank their own product? That's what I'm trying to say. Take what they say with a grain of salt in both areas. Could be heavy-handed, could also be not heavy-handed. I've seen products where they said this is going to be apparently a thing in the thing. Nothing happens at all. I literally watched Lightyear. It's not even a bad movie. It's an okay movie. It's fine, really. It's actually better than Toy Story 4 in a lot of different areas. That movie stinks.
Well, and see that you
And
can.
guess what? They had a gay character. They had a gay character in it, and she was awesome. All she cared about was just trying to make him a better character. How many times can you say that? Really, most of these guys, most people that are gay in the media, just straight up garbage. They're just, oh, it's gay and I suck dick and that's my personality. It's like, no, I've seen a few pieces of media where it has been. I don't know if you watch Peacemaker. That black lady who was a lesbian, she wasn't like that either. She wasn't. She wasn't like that at all on the show. She was a lesbian. It was mentioned a few times. Wasn't her whole character perspective. She felt pretty bad. She had to lie to Peacemaker about what was going on with them. That had nothing to do with her being gay. There's even moments where like gay or lesbian characters aren't even what people think in their head they're gonna be. But things are so twisted to the point where everyone thinks it's just gonna be that, so they don't even give it a chance at all. And it's like we're just in a weird, like dark, muddied water area when it comes to this stuff. It's so fascinating how things have
It
evolved over the years.
it is because because you also it's like you have to constantly make sure that are you being consistent with what you believe and what you're talking about. And I think that's hard to do for a lot of people because in such a fast-paced environment with social media changing and everything else, your opinion of last year could easily change this year. It's kind of like
But
Sorry, I just lost my mic there for a second.
You just threw it on the ground. You pull the EVS. Fuck. Ugh.
Don't break it.
She got mad because Jane, Inside for Nerds, had said he liked pineapple on pizza.
Anyway,
God. And he said oatmeal raisin cookies are better than chocolates. Oh no, just the classic L's. Just he's stacking the L's. Oh my god.
He's just doing that just to kind of stir some shit up.
I'll be honest with you, he actually genuinely likes pineapple on pizza. I don't mute women. I keep them in cages, locked up away from society. I'm just kidding.
You'll be community noted. MSK actually does not believe that.
you know, was there's this meme where there's a meme and it was like, life got so much worse when we started allowing women to have opinions. Holy shit.
God. Oh wow. That's playing with fire. So that's playing with fire. Oh my gosh.
God, man.
But it's that's what when people no. Okay. No, you can keep your opinion. You can keep your opinion.
You know what's better than oatmeal raisin cookies? White chocolate chip cookies are better. The white macadamia nut ones are better. Those are really good, honestly. I love those.
I don't care for nuts in my cookies.
You don't care for nuts? Or lady, are you a lesbian? I'm just kidding.
No!
Oh God, that can be interpreted in many different ways. Just saying, as you said.
I said nuts in my cookies, MSK. Come on.
Okay, fine. Allegedly.
Calm down. Calm down. Don't be emotional here. Don't be emotional here.
It's my time of the month. You know, I gotta be emotional.
That's called bowel movements.
Ew. Oh God. Typical MSK muting women. She muted herself. She rage quit herself.
It was my mic. But anyway, so it's just that's why whenever I see commentary of like, oh my gosh, there's going to be more acolyte engagement or engagement farming or Star Wars engagement farming. What are you doing on social media then? You are literally on social media for attention and engagement. I'm sorry, I'm going to speak an opinion on something that you're just tired of hearing, and that's fine. Go mute me, unfollow me. I don't care. Like, it's just, we all talk about different things, but if you like, some people just tend to just focus on the one thing that they just are. I don't know. It's just weird because I'm like, I talk about Final Fantasy VI all the time. That is definitely something I love, and it's like, does anybody not like understand that people talk about more than one thing? It's a thing. You can do that. It's like, come on now, get over yourselves. Like, or better yet, if you don't like seeing it, why don't you be the different new person on the block and talk about other things your way?
Crazy.
Crazy. Shocking. It's like,
I always tell people this. Be the change you would like to see. Whether people will call it all on the other side. That even stretches to you too. If you feel like people aren't doing a good enough job and you're saying that this side is saying everything is woke, no, I'd rather you have that opinion if you genuinely do, because it creates for like, I'm not saying meaningful discourse. These people are just fucking pieces of shit, but the fact that you have that opinion means that we can talk about, wait, that doesn't make any sense at all. Because I even hear other people's opinions on stuff that I don't even care for in general. Because if I don't hear your opinions on it, then I won't know what you're saying. Then I won't know what the current narrative is. But if I do hear it and I understand what you're saying, I'm like, okay, now I know. And it's bad, guys. Don't worry. I like to pollute my brain with dog crap. I've heard some really bad things. Don't worry. But I think it's good to hear those perspectives, to have them in your mind so you can go, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Because a lot of people just don't really like to do that a lot. I know that's probably maybe a me thing. But I feel like sometimes if you never hear what the actual other side is saying, you just only live in your own perpetual echo chamber, which is not good in general. It gets kind of stale. I like to spice things up every once in a while, change my perspective on things.
Well, and it's just like what we were just saying earlier.
What the? Does she not count as a human being? What's wrong with you? You are on crack. You're not real. Apparently, you're an alien.
You're bot. That's it. But it's just like we were talking about earlier. you just talked about trying to make sure you're listening to and watching different perspectives of things, even if you don't agree with what the other people say or the other side says. Sometimes you can gain different points of view and perspectives that might make things sound, like you understand their side of their reasoning. That's being able to have a discussion or conversation. It's the same thing with reviewing media. You need to be able to watch the good and the ugly, or play like in video games. You got to play bad games. You also got to play good games. You need to be able to have a balanced perspective to know what is quality and what is not quality. What is a good opinion and what is not a good opinion. Because yeah, everybody can have an opinion. Opinions are everywhere like assholes. It's just it's just whichever one doesn't stink the most. It's like I don't, I don't understand why we are not allowed. Some people I'll see commentary of this like, well, if you dislike it, why are you watching it? It's like, no, because I'm going to see it to the very end, because people do. I'm not, nobody is blowing, bloating us, or blowing us up in such a way of, it's ego driven. But some I've been told to, by a few people that they like my perspective of things. So it's like, okay, so I'm sorry, the person that says if you dislike something, don't watch it. I'm sorry, but there are people that I like to talk to and have conversations with that actually like my perspective of things. Bye-bye. I don't need you. It's like
Mhm.
I don't understand why people feel that they, it's almost like they will want to say something along the lines of, okay, well then it's your ego because you think, people care about, think your opinion is valid, or people care about your opinion. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to boost your ego either on, agreeing with your opinion. It's like, what is,
Mhm.
come on now, let's talk about, have a reasonable conversation. It just seems like you're trying to control what's being put out there, because what, you're tired of it, you don't like it, you don't like, what is it? Like, I'm sorry, you're not going to control anybody. It's so weird. I mean, attack the opinion and the criticism. Don't attack the people or what have you. Like, actually have valid reasons and opinions on it. Otherwise, some people just come across as unhinged when they're like, this is just whatever, this is ego driven, blah 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 blah.
This
I
is
mean,
racist. Oh,
this
you
is
know the
right.
new word now in movies is pretentious. Everyone who doesn't like a movie just calls it pretentious, and it's like, what? Because certain movies are written in a way where your brain dead brain had to think about 1 + 1 = 2. That makes them pretentious. I'm just like, what level of commentary are we at anymore with people? I
I
don't
think
get it. Like, do they
I think
want smart informed movies, or do you want just dumb Michael Bay explosion movie? I don't know what you want anymore.
I think some movies can qualify as being pretentious in such a way of they think that they're okay. So how about this? Not just movies but shows. The Rings of Power thinks they think of themselves so highly. You can tell that in their dialogue they think they're so smart and they're pretentious, but they're really not. So
Mhm.
I would say
That's a great show
they're
too.
they're that's in a way, the Rings of Power is pretentious because they think that they're just as smart as Tolkien in terms of their writing and the dialogue, and you can tell. Um, However, like that's a good reason to use, the word pretentious. Or sometimes there are some movies that think that they're superior or higher. You can tell from the you can tell through the movie how the creative or the creator or whoever is behind
Mhm.
it is portraying their own projection and emotions, and it's terrible. But there are very smart movies. There are but the thing is, they're quality movies in which they're smart,
Mhm.
but they don't talk down to the audience, if that makes sense. Like, it gives the audience a reason to either think or gain some sort of perspective on something. And those are quality movies. Now, if people are going to say it's pretentious, I don't know where they could find that in terms of those types of movies.
It's just a buzzword they use for every movie that has smart commentary with like a scene or one scene throughout a movie. It's like, bro, it's like, oh my god, it feels like nothing can ever just exist as it's an entity. It just has to be because they're trying to do. It's like, what world are we in now? He says the problem is a lot of disagreements from movies are tied to real world moral disagreements. Even if it's bad, they don't want to agree with the other side. You know, there are some things they say, and it's like, okay, I don't really agree. I don't think it's that bad, you know. But if it's coming down to a point of like you're calling someone an instaphobe or you're calling them homophobic for having a movie opinion, that's where I draw the line at. Because then at that point, we're not even talking about what we're originally talking about. They're trying to essentially, in their mind, find the next racist. And it's like, that's such a, you know, as kids say nowadays, it's reaching. People are reaching hard for something that just isn't there. I don't care if someone says they didn't like this black female actor's performance in a movie. That doesn't make them racist. That means they just don't like their fucking acting. Because remember, that doesn't apply for Mexican female actors. When you criticize a Mexican female actress, do you get called racist for that? Why does that only apply for black people? It never applies for Mexicans, Chinese, who from Argentina, Brazilians in general. Applies for no one in Europe. Only applies for black people. I noticed that. Crazy. It's like, no, that's almost like it's just a forced thing. Actually, ridiculous. You know, it shouldn't even, people's brain shouldn't even come to that. That's how you know someone's just brain rotted, retarded, you know?
Well, what is it? I was watching a Mark Wahlberg movie on, I can't remember what channel. The movie is called Shooter. And it has what's that actor's name? He was in the movie Angels in the Outfield. The black actor. Danny Glover?
What's the last Mark Wahlberg movie I watched? Oh my goodness, I can't remember. It was that Patriot movie a long time ago.
It just seemed like an interesting movie, you know, just, you know, watching it. But anyway, I think it's Danny Glover. People can
watch a black man in a movie?
There's a black man in the movie, y'all.
Oh god. Woo!
But he was excellent in that. And I'm watching it. I did not think about anything about anybody's skin color or anything. I'm watching it because it has Mark Wahlberg, has Danny Glover in it, and those are recognizable actors that I enjoy, that I know who give out good performances. Who cares what their skin color is? It's like, yeah. I mean, look at people like Denzel Washington or Morgan Freeman. I mean, I love Shawshank Redemption. Them that don't even think one moment about whose skin color is.
Didn't you like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? All the whole cast is black. Everyone loved that show.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. Wait, just
hold on. There's a Minions 3 coming out. My life is just forever changed.
You're banana.
God. I know, you know what's crazy? One of those names is Kevin. What? The other name is like Bob. What's the third one's name?
I don't remember. I haven't seen any of the
fucker's name. Oh, Stewart.
I haven't seen any of the Minions movies. I need to catch up on them. Yeah.
You haven't seen any Despicable Me movies at all? Really?
I've seen the Despicable Me 1. I think I've seen Despicable Me 2.
2 is such a downgrade compared to 1. It's not even close. Because the first one is that I like it. The first one's overall pretty good. I've seen all of them except for the newest one that just came out. Actually, yeah, it's Kevin, Stewart, and Bob. Good lord, what names exist there? But
it's great for the Minions because they're just so random.
That's what we are. We're literally them. We just talk together and hit each other with stupid stuff. God, man. Oh, God. Hey, sign me up. More Minions. Minion supremacy. Oh, God. Oh, man. My day just got a whole lot better with that announcement. What was I going to say? Oh, before we head out eventually, we're talking about Digimon. This lady was talking about Digimon, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, we got to start a Digimon. Oh, my God. I now sound like a mom.
Oh, no. You got rid of that. No. Oh, no.
That's what my boss said.
Your fan card is revoked.
That's what my boss said when we have like Pokemon promotional product at work. She's like, you guys like your Pokemans? And I'm like, nope. Okay, all right, okay. Now she's just belittling us. So Max was talking about Digimon on Twitter, and I'm like, we gotta maybe potentially do like a Digimon episode of that. It sounds so fun. I remember being a kid and watching Digimon. The episode that really blew my mind was when Gatomon turned into an angel, and I'm like, my tiny brain couldn't handle it. I was like, what the fuck? A cat could be an angel? That's cool as fuck, honestly. You know?
Let me tell you. I mean, because I need to do it because I've done like I've done several rewatches of the show, but I haven't done one recently. And I know there's season 1, and then I think season 2 is like the next generation of the kids.
Yeah.
Like is it the little the girl, I'm not really good with names. I know Ty has a sister, and then there's TK. TK is Matt's youngest brother. I can't remember the little sister's name, but TK. Kari, thank you. Kari and TK, they're growing up. They're pretty much the age of their older siblings that, when they first started out, and a new set of characters come. And I liked the second season, but the first season, I don't know whether it's just, I always call it like first impression bias, meaning like you fall in love the thing that it's brand new or it's first out, and then
your first love, you can't let go.
Yeah, you can't let it go, and it's really hard to move on. But I do enjoy those 2 seasons because it's almost like a continuation, and the older kids still get involved, and it's really well done show, and really touches on some very, how do I explain this? Very dark. They're almost grown up type issues, but from a child's perspective and how to handle it. And it's really well done in terms of character growth and development. I think I remember watching the movie there was a Digimon movie a long time ago, and I just need to do a rewatch of that stuff, because as much as I love Pokemon, I feel like Digimon is if you look comparing the shows, I think Digimon as the show was far superior, in my opinion.
Yeah. Pokemon is very Pokemon is very rinse, wash, repeat. It's basically the same shit every single time. Digimon offered various different ways of storytelling. Digimon season 1, I really love. Season 2 was pretty good for the most part. It was good overall. I didn't like that third season. I was thinking about it after you make that post. That third season was not good. It was really dark, and when it got good, it got good. That main cast was so trash and so forgettable. Like it was
because the
Staccato.
Yeah, that's the one with like
Leomon got killed by Impmon. That was a good moment, I would say.
Yes, Leomon, and then it was Rini and I can't remember her
Renamon, I think.
Renamon, yes. Is it Rini? Is it Rini and Renamon? Renny and Renamon? I can't remember.
Such a forgettable cast. So trash.
I liked it, but I remembered I fell in love with the originals. I fell in love with the the Chosen kids, the original Chosen, and it's the thing is, there was so much charm with that. Then there's with the third one, I understand it might be different kids, different situation, different whatever, but there's no connection to the first one. The way that they set up in terms of Digimon as the shows is that it's the same world we all live in. So how come these kids never really talked about or heard about the original kids, the that sort of stuff? Like I don't need them to be key jangled in. I just need it to be. It didn't seem connected to the other. It's supposed to be the same world that we're all living in with Digimon, in terms of Earth and everything else. It didn't seem connected at all, and that was my biggest problem with it. It just didn't seem like it was the same world.
The cast is just really bad. The main trio was just not interesting. The main guy, Takata, was such a wimp throughout the entirety of the show. I mean, it has really, if you watch it all the way through, I did a few times a long time ago, not just the first time, but a rewatch. it has good moments. It has really hard-hitting moments at various points. But to get to those really hard-hitting moments, you got to go through a lot of like just bad. It's just storytelling is so bad in that one. I like the fourth season. For me, it would go season 1, season 4, season 2, and then season 3. Season 3 is definitely the worst one by far. I love when they were able to transform into the Digimon. That storyline was really good. I really enjoyed season 4. Opening was good.
Was that Digimon Tamers?
It's called Frontier in the English.
Frontier.
Yeah.
I think at that point, the premise of Frontier, I didn't like the fact that they transformed into their.
No, because I actually loved it. I loved the design.
I did not.
Why? Why are you stuck? Get over your first love. He cheated on you. He left you. You gotta get with the new guy. You're like that girl that's looking at the guy and looking at the
I keep going back to him. I keep going back to him, and he still treats me well.
You're like the girl in that meme that's looking at the guy, looking at the other girl.
Nah, because he's not going anywhere. I think it's just because it just reminded me too much of turning into like, how do I explain this? Then it started to get the typical anime mech feel of like Voltron and Gundam and all that kind of stuff, where it's like everything is or even like it just, not that that's the same thing, but turning like the thing itself is, you're the character, like the robot is the character. Now you're a Digimon too, and you're the character. Like I liked it when it was separate. Now I can understand if the world has evolved eventually into something like that, because it is a digital world, quote unquote. So it's technology, it constantly evolves or constantly changes over time. So it is believable in that regard, but I just didn't like the concept. That was just me. And so I think after Tamers was kind of a letdown. I mean, I liked it. There are some good moments in it. But it's not the best season or that particular show of Digimon. And by that point, I think I just got burned out. And when I saw the concept of Frontiers, I was like, no, I'm out. So
I remember waking up every Saturday morning cartoons and watching newest episodes. It starts off a little slow when it gets to everything. When it starts picking up after they beat, I think Cherubimon or something like that. They get into the Lucemon, which is Lucifer, obviously, like Lord Lucemon. Oh, it's so good. Oh my god, it's just, I love season 4. Season 4 is so good, but season 1 always is the best one, because you had the War Greymon. When they morphed from the War Greymon and Metal Garou, I was like, holy shit, that's cool. Like they actually they try to kill them. Look, people have their favorite moments. It's like Patamon turning into Angemon. I was like, that's a good moment in it. But I think when they turn into War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, that's like number 1. Or for me, number 2, when you have Angemon Woman when she first appears. I think what's other great moments when they beat. Oh, remember when Kari was sick? He turned into War Greymon and he slashed through one of those Pride Masters, the guy with the metal gear one. I thought it was really. I was like, okay, that's a cool moment. There's so many great moments, honestly, in the first one. I can see why people. The originals always kind of have that first love, but you're just in love. You just gotta get over them.
Well, and I love the moments too of like how there were definitely teachable moments. Like each of the kids had this symbol that really suits their character, but they're just not aware of it, or they're not fulfilling that symbol. Like Tai is courage, is bravery, leadership qualities, and everything. Well, he doesn't turn out to be a really good leader for a while because he's selfish and he needs to get over that, and he needs to grow into that. But that is the perfect virtue for him because he is one. He just needs to learn how to be a proper one. I mean, like how he forced Greymon to turn into Skull Greymon. And that was selfish on his part.
You're talking about peer pressure. Yeah.
Peer pressure. And it's like, that's not being a leader. He's treating
Remember the episode where they got thrown back in time and Tai saw his life if he didn't have like his friends involved. He thought like the grass is greener with the on the other side. If he couldn't protect his friends, he thought like what my life could have been. He saw how lonely it was and he went back to go to his friends. They beat that like that dead monkey Digimon who was
Oh
wearing the
yeah.
sunglasses.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Oh lord. There was what a doozy that was. Holy
And
crap, man.
I think it Digimon as a show, like it comes off as a kids show, but it's really not a kids show. There's a lot of elements and story plots, storylines that really gets you thinking. And I mean it is a kids show, but it's definitely not one where it
Hold your hand.
holds your hand. Exactly. It's
Mhm,
very it's a very much it's very much Pokemon is too, but it comes across as childish sometimes.
mhm,
Has definitely far more childish moments. Digimon is it's a little bit more serious. It's enjoyable, but it definitely has a ton of teachable moments. It's just like when Matt, who his virtue is or his symbol is friendship. He certainly was not a friend. He was standoffish. He was always like, brooding and all that kind of stuff.
mhm.
And Garurumon, is it Garurumon? Is that his the main one? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Uh he goes off and he beats with him, but remember he's like
Gabumon. That
Gabumon,
word.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gabumon. He I mean he's there for
It's
him.
facts.
And then Matt treats him so disrespectfully,
Mhm,
not being a good friend. And it's like, oh, he learns like I shouldn't be doing stuff like this. Like I should be a good everybody learns how to be able to grow into that symbol that they were given, they were meant to have. And it's just it's just fascinating how that story was told.
mhm.
Oh yeah, and Patamon turning into Angemon is just is an epic moment too, because it's here he's been the one that just doesn't do anything. He's so brave. He tries, but he just does not have. There's something there that's just not working, and
Mhm.
TK, TK believing in him and everything else, and just Patamon stepping up and just it's great. It's a great moment.
Yeah, I thought
I
I know
remember
there was
waiting for that
Devimon, yeah.
end. I
Real
was like,
I know, they have the Devimon stuff, but my Lotusmon was so much better of a villain, so much stronger. Devimon never really did anything, honestly, you know?
yeah.
My Lotusmon was just such a stronger villain in general. It was way better. Part where he killed that wizard guy and then just got him on turning. Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh. That was just
I didn't
that was
expect that either.
awful.
I honestly, I remember Kid Shows had moments where characters died and they did it in a way where it wasn't like bloody or gory. Because it didn't have to be bloody or gory. They did it in a way where you understood that motherfucker dead. He's not coming back. And he stayed dead. It was a meaningful death, you know?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
it's like you come to realize that yes, what's that wizard? Yeah, the is it is it
That was
is
for
it
losers. If
oh,
you watched Wing
Winx
Clubs,
Club.
you were a loser. That was mega gay. That was gay if you watched that.
I watched that. Excuse
Oh
me.
my god. You should watch Mew Mew Power. That was a little bit more mature. That was I like Mew Power. That shit was cool.
I
Wings
guess
for losers.
I guess I like the the girly
Oh, of
pink
course. Oh, damn.
power
You're a
girly.
girl? Crazy. You're a real
Yeah,
woman, an
crazy.
actual woman, not one of those manufactured ones we have nowadays, you know? That
Oh, Totally Spies was a good show. Nobody can deny that. Totally Spies was a
one
good
was
show.
fine. That was good. What do you mean?
Um,
I was born with actual male parts, and she was born with the other components, the real ones, not the fake one they trying to put you on now. Ugh, Lord,
I
man.
you're an outie and I'm an innie. So there you go.
That's how it should work. There you go. Uh, wait, what's this supposed to be? Was Ty and Sarah supposed to be a thing? Because I never got that. I never felt like they were gonna be a couple.
You mean Sora?
Is it Sora? Fucking
So,
hell, good lord.
Sora,
Yeah,
Ty and Sora. I think
I feel like I was so forced by the fandom, honestly.
well, I think Matt and Sora actually in the end when they're all grown up, they get together. But I think for a long time for me, I thought Ty and Sora should have gotten together because I think there was definitely something there where she cared for Ty, but it seemed like he was too I'm not gonna tear my boy down, Ty, but he definitely comes down as like a little
Simp?
bit. He no, not necessarily. No, Sai's not a simp. I think he's just too. He's too into the bigger picture that he does not. He forgets to. He forgets to cultivate a relationship with Sora. Sora likes him, and I think that's the last time I have to rewatch the show to kind of get that but that was the perspective that I remember seeing growing up, and that eventually she and Matt get together. But it makes sense, to be quite honest, because friendship and love go together. Those are their love is Sora's
Really? We need
yeah.
love and friendship? That's gay. What the
Hey. but it makes sense. That's why I love the show itself, Digimon, because there's so much symbolism involved and so much in-depth, like so many layers to it as to why things are and why things are going the direction they are and how the characters are, and who as far as their development is concerned, it all makes sense.
Matt and Sora? Oh,
Matt and Sora got together because Matt is friendship and Sora is love.
Oh, that's so. Oh no, they did him dirty. Fucking hell, man. Kari and TK had a better fucking friendship than that. God damn. Oh, another
But that's
episode.
because I think that's because you didn't see it in the show, but I think it's revealed later that when they get old, when they grow up and they, they're adults and everything, that they end up getting together. I think there was something like that. So anyway, go ahead.
I mean, there was other great moments I was watching at work sometimes. When Angemon can't fight Piedmon. He slashes that rope and they're falling, and he turns into Magna Angemon. He was the last one to get his second form. Another great moment for that. I remember when season 2. Remember when they were fighting that because he put all their Digimon together for a big enemy? It was when they had when Ken was the Digimon Emperor, and the little blue guy, I forgot his name, was the second leader. When he turned into Magnamon, I'll be honest with you, I thought that was the coolest shit ever. I was like, "Who the fuck? That looks cool as fuck." Honestly, I did like the episode in season 2 where TK stepped up and actually like told him, "Hey man, you gotta stop doing this." He punched him. I was like, "Holy fuck!" Before I actually hit, I remember such a little baby. He was scared of anything. He grew up and he punched Ken in the face. Like, dude, you gotta stop making them your slaves. They're not your slaves. Man, the way they reformed Ken from being a villain to who he was after when it was Wormmon and Stingmon, I was like, oh my god, man, greatness right there. Pokemon had moments like that, like you said, but Pokemon is just so basic, man. I love Pokemon. I do. I've grown up Pokemon since it started here in America, but it's the same thing every single time. I think
it's the Pokemon, the first Pokemon the movie, their first movie, I think is on par with Digimon. And the reason why I say that is because it still has the kid moments appropriately, but it also has very in-depth, challenging, teachable moments too. I mean, nobody can take away Mewtwo's speech. That is, I mean, the Pokemon the movie is, I think is a must watch for kids, because there's a lot going on in that movie, talking about respecting life, and it's a very I put that movie on par with Digimon. As far as the show has its moments too. It's just I don't think the level of seriousness. It kind of goes from there's like childish moments, and then all of a sudden it's serious, if that makes sense. Whereas with Digimon, it's built up over time. It's expected. There's good moments of
the one with Entei is so good. That's my favorite one. Is the one with Entei is so good. The first Pokemon movie is great. I've never actually seen any of the Digimon movies really. I think I saw the beginning of the first one, but I never saw the end of it. A lot of people say the first movie is the best one by far.
Let's see here. Let me see if I can look it up.
Too much stuff to go over. That's why I said I want to do like movie, TV show, and anime projects where we go back and watch the original stuff all the way up to like where it's currently at. Just so fun to just dive back into like the older stuff and then going through like why the newer stuff isn't as good or maybe better, depending on if that's ever going to be a thing, which is not. That'll almost never be a thing. I just like to tell myself that because I'm a hopeful optimist at heart. You know.
No, I would love to, because I mean everybody talks about Pokemon, and I love Pokemon. I'm not saying Pokemon
Which
is
Pokemon are you? What was your favorite?
oh, I'm always a
You a
Charizard.
Pikachu?
No, no, my first game. I'm Gen 1. My
Yeah.
first game ever on the first edition Game Boy Color was Pokemon Red, and my first ever starter, without a doubt, because I loved the book on the box when it was advertised on TV on a commercial, was Charmander. And I will never change from that. I'm always been a
Yeah.
fire. I'm always been a pyro. Always been a fire fan. And believe it or not, I do judge the Pokemon games based on their starters and what their
I
fire Pokemon look like. And
I
let me
always choose
tell
the
you,
fire one. Yeah.
yeah, I always choose the fire one. If the fire one looks like
Or
crap,
grass. Grass will usually be a second option for me.
what is it?
Because my favorite Pokemon is Charizard too. And I chose Charizard. It would be Cyndaquil. I like Totodile too. Totodile is really cool. But that generation was weird. I don't really like the starters that much, but I like the ideas of them. They're kind of cool.
You don't like Gen 2?
What was those starters?
Gen 2.
That was Gen 2 because that's Johto, right?
I'm really bad at the locations of the regions. I always look at Gen 2. Gen 1 is red, blue, technically
Yes.
technically green, because green was released in Japan. But it's red, blue, green, and yellow was Gen 1. Gen 2 is gold, silver, and crystal. Gen 3 is ruby and sapphire and emerald. And then I think around that same time, that's when
Gen 2 with Trico, Trico, oh my god, Sceptile, those ones, right? Those whole in region, essentially. I usually do it by region. There's Johto, Kanto, then you have Sinnoh. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. No, I like that. No, I stopped watching the anime of Pokemon after Diamond and Pearl, after that concluded. I just burnt out. It's the same thing. I was like, okay, this is the same shit every single time. I'm not missing anything watching this. I would play the games religiously.
I think the games are far superior than the show itself.
Yeah,
because it's clearly, I mean, it's a little different and everything. Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. I didn't mind.
Trico.
I would always choose Charmander. I think it was Quilava. I think it's the first one because it's
Quilava. That's Cyndaquil second form. That would be like
Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil. I chose Torchic, even though I wasn't too big on like a fire chicken. I think it was kind of okay.
What? That's a cool talent theory.
And then I think the fourth gen had a like a monkey.
Chimchar. That's Turtwig.
Yes. I was not sold on that, and I was not sold on that generation's starter Pokemon, so I never played that game.
What? You never experienced Chimchar? I'm gonna strangle you.
I don't know. I'm very weird. And then the Pokemon started. So like originally when the Pokemon started, the way that the designs and the names and everything made sense. It's like based on based on real life, but based on kind of like similar animal looks and styles and everything. Or, in this case, you have Grimer and Muck and everything else based on like just pollution and everything. And
Piplup? That'd be the cutest thing I think you'd be into. It's a penguin who could squirt water out of his mouth. That sounds cute as hell for women. Oh my god!
I was not sold. No, I looked at the evolutions and I was not sold on the evolutions.
You're crazy! What is wrong? No, man. I'll be honest here. I loved them from the beginning. All of them had cool evolutions. The Turtwig going into Torterra and Chimchar to Infernape. I love them all. What is wrong? The one you talk about, Cyndaquil, the one talking
you do not talk. You don't.
Trash.
You need to respect your elders here. I'm a Gen 1 person. Excuse me. Leave me
alone. Cyndaquil, Chikorita, and Totodile, they had the worst final ones. Those were ugly. Typhlosion.
No.
God, man.
Baby. No. I'm sorry. A fire monkey is dumb. I don't like that.
You're insane. Oh, what you got to talk monkeys then, you bigot? Are you racist or something? Oh my
No,
god.
I
I
don't.
do like
I
Cold
don't care.
Down.
I
Cold
don't
Down's
care. I don't care if everybody's saying I take a massive L. I stand
yeah,
by
yeah.
my opinion. I stand by my opinion, and I have not looked back since because
Massive L.
ever since then, Pokemon has not been the same type of Pokemon that I grew up with.
You're
So,
crazy. I say,
uh,
yeah, Diamond and Pearl is the last iteration of Pokemon feeling like Pokemon. I just didn't watch it after that. Oh, I used to afford the anime. Is just how many times are we gonna get to a point where you see Ash lose the final moment? It's like, god damn, man.
well, does Ash ever grow up? Like,
Remember Pokemon, the anime that we know that you and I started watching at various points. That just concluded like about 2 years ago. That just concluded.
That just concluded. Like he actually grew. I actually prefer the original story because I need to get the manga part of it because I love like the more and more I dive into it, that's where the game is based on. Actually, Pokemon Red is technically speaking the true game, original game, because in Gen 2 you meet with Red, so that line of continuation is there. Because in the comics, I think in the manga, I think it's Red that's actually so Ash is based off of Red. I think I remember that correctly. Um that's something that I would like to get my hands on is the original manga. Because I want to know what the deviations are in terms of the story and plot lines. Because I think it would just be interesting to just kind of look into that.
What was the last Pokemon games you played? The last games I played was just obviously Diamond and Pearl. I have a Switch. People thought I should get Scarlet and Violet. I don't know when they're going to be rotated out. It might be too late to get them because you have to grind for everything. And then by the time you do, they get rotated out with the new. When they make a new Switch, what they probably might, a new console, whenever they do, there's going to be new Pokemon games in there. All your previous work, if you can transfer it over, which they say is possible, I would like that. So I would get Scarlet. I was always asking, what's your favorite legendary Pokemon? Mine's like Lugia and Entei.
Probably Suicune.
Suicune.
I like Suicune.
Oh, Suicune, right? The dogs. Okay.
I like Suicune a lot. I was very partial when it came to legendary. I was very partial to going with because I would always choose Articuno, and I would always choose Suicune. But it was based on the particular ones that the particular team that I would always try to put together, and I always needed either a water and or fire type. Not fire type, water and or ice type. Excuse me.
I always like the electric Pokemon too. I always thought they were cool. The only ones I never really gravitated to as much as like Psychic, Dark. I never really got into those as much. Fighting was always pretty cool.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Umbreon. The dark version of Eevee, yeah. I loved Umbreon.
Umbreon and Vaporeon are my favorites. Those are my top two.
Oh yeah, Vaporeon and Umbreon are always my favorites. Those are always ones that I would always choose.
You like my soulmate? What? Like everything I do.
But remember, I don't like Gen 4, so there you go.
We allow you to have that opinion here because you're a woman. You know, we give you rights here.
To answer your, because you asked like how far, what was the last Pokemon game I played? Or at least generation Pokemon. I did played Emerald. I never got to. I think because I had Pokemon the original game. We had the black. My brothers had the black and white original Game Boy. I had the original Game Boy Color, and then I got the Game Boy Advance, and then I think from there is when a new handheld console happened. There was
Game
a
Boy
Nintendo.
SP.
Was it? I thought it was a DS.
The Game Boy SP came after the Game Boy Advance. You could charge your thing without having to put a bunch of batteries in it. Then it came the DS. DS is the Diamond and Pearl era when everything became like more digital. You can migrate things over.
The thing is, I never was able because it just seemed like back then for me and. Because I would try to save up money. I was still, I was still in school. I would try to save up money, but also it was kind of hard to ask your parents to buy another handheld console.
Yeah.
another handheld console. Every time another handheld console will come around is when the money is there for the other one that they still had out on market. But oh no, we got a new one out. That was the one thing
Mhm.
that was kind of I didn't like during that particular era either. Of
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if it was Nintendo,
Mhm.
PlayStation, or something else. It always felt like there were all these new consoles coming out, whether it's handheld or something else. And by
Yeah.
the time you saved up enough money to get the console that you want, a new one's coming out. And it's like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I'm not
Mhm.
going to buy anything anymore. So I think that's where it stopped. And then from then on, I was really just being very conscientious about what I was asking for Christmas, or what was I was asking for, for my birthday, in terms of the
Mhm.
prices of everything. Because let me tell you, games and the Game Boy era, I would say, that includes color and advance and anything else in that part. The Game Boy era, yeah, the game, they were expensive enough, but they're not like Nintendo DS or Switch or anything
Yeah.
else levels of
Yeah.
prices and everything else. So me looking at the prices in the, catalogs, the JCPenney Sears catalogs that you would see
Mhm.
back in the day, it's like I just didn't have the heart to ask for a new console to play games, especially if
Same
I'm
here.
only
Yeah.
if I'm only gonna have maybe 1, 2, or 3 other games, because I'm not,
That
Christmas.
wouldn't justify the price to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask them to drop like $500 just for a gift. It's like, I don't know. It's just not something
No,
that
we
I
had the
would.
same thing too. Like when we got a
Yeah.
console, it meant something. So you knew that you would have it for a while. So you'd get games for it. Because handhelds were a big. Everyone tried to capture the handheld. I mean, it was basically Sony. Sony really tried to battle Nintendo on the handheld, the PSP, PSP Vita, and all that stuff. I had a DS. I traded it in for money a while ago. I probably was a bad idea looking back at it now. I was a depressed weird kid, but look, like same thing with you. I didn't want to ask for new stuff. Once we already got something new, I was just trying to make the most of what we had, you know. And when it comes to like, that's why I always hated when generations of stuff ended, was because you'd have to get the newest thing and you have to ask, hey, can I get this new thing? But we have to save up for it. We have to put it on layaway to get it, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually, that's what makes content and media special back then. When you had to kind of work for it to get it, and you had to wait a long time for it. It really meant something when you got something new. Now, well, since you're older, you have a job, you can just buy whatever you want. It doesn't have that same level of feeling. But I'll be honest with people, when you got a new console as a kid and you opened it, it was just so fun. It was great. Just getting a new game for it meant something. Your collection just piling up. Oh my god, the feels, the feels.
And I think that's where the problem of that era for me. Like, this is just my perspective. Like, when I looked at the Pokemon games after Gen 3, I was being very discerning of the fact that if I don't really care for the starters or the looks of certain Pokemon or the sound or the names or whatever, after a while, it just didn't appeal to me, because at that point, I didn't have the console to begin with. And there's no way I'm going to be asking for. So it's kind of like, you know,
You
Pokemon Red.
blame Piplup for that. Piplup blamer.
No,
No.
it's more like, it's kind of like, am I really going to be 100% into it, or am I just it's Pokemon, I would play it, whatever. But I've always been the type of person that's like, just because it has Pokemon on it does not necessarily mean it's going to be good for me. So, I look at it that way. If other people enjoy the other games, that's good for them. I'm happy for them. But I'm looking at the story and the way things laid out, and
Yeah.
and I feel like it's just started to get far more complicated in the game itself, with all of these other added extra layers and elements and everything else, that I was just like, that just
Mhm.
takes the enjoyment out of it for me. And that is me, in my opinion. If other people like it and enjoy it, that's fine. Like, I don't
I'm gonna
care.
make you a Piplup believer. I'm gonna get you on the Fire Monkey.
Nope.
Let Fire Monkey into your heart.
Nope.
God, man. God, dang it. What about Pokemon Go? Did you ever play that?
Oh, I played Pokemon Go. I was a first. I was I
So
was
you played it not only from its craze, you're still doing it now?
I was there from the very beginning for it.
Mhm.
And then, oh gosh, how do I explain this? I was even in Facebook groups discussing with people all over the place.
Mhm.
But then it started to become very much a popularity contest where
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you're trying to help other players out. We're all discussing or whatever, and then you have the random know-it-alls and
Mhm.
and I don't mean that in such a way of they're actually Pokemon fans.
Mhm.
They were not Pokemon fans. They're playing it because everybody else is playing it.
You could
And they
tell,
yeah.
you could tell. They would say
Oh,
such lies. They would say
I could
Pokemon wasn't popular before they ever came into it. You're just like, all right, I know your ass is lying. This is cap to the
I'm
math
like
degree.
I'm like I'm like Aunt Susan, well, she's not my aunt, but I can see I'd see you're an Aunt Susan. You, based on your profile picture, I'm sorry, but you never grew up with this stuff. You probably grew up with it because of either your own children or nieces and nephews. However, like it's just like how Facebook has turned out to be like run by the wine moms online or whatever. That's the way that these groups started to become, where it just turned out into
Can I propose this to you? And would you do
uh-oh.
this with me? What do you think I was gonna ask?
What am
Might have
I?
the gutter crazy
Well,
lady.
I know.
Yeah, I'm
Would
gonna
you
invite
do
you
this?
to some casting couch or something. Like
What
what?
do
No.
you think? The way you started it out, the way you phrased the question, I'm like, oh no. What am like? I have to know the parameters first before I start agreeing to something. I need a contract.
No, no. I play the Pokemon TCG Live. Would you ever be interested in learning the Pokemon card game? Being honest here, 5-year-olds learned it. I learned it in like less than 10 minutes. It's not that hard at all, and
The
it's free
trading,
too.
the
Yeah, it's
trading
free.
card game.
They offer you a bunch of structure decks, like 20, I think about 15 to 20 of them. You can pick whatever you want. These rotate out every 2 to 3 years because Pokemon TCG, they have the rotation thing where they rotate out basically different generations right now. You're still in the same one right now for a good amount of time, so you'll be good. And it's completely free. You just make an account and you just start playing.
I've admittedly, that was the one side or the one medium of Pokemon that I just never got into was the
You never got
cards.
into collecting the cards at all, or even collecting the cards?
Oh no, collecting the cards. I
Yeah,
have.
you still have.
I still have them. Do you know what I actually have in my? I probably
You have the
have.
Charizard from
I
Base
have
Shadow List?
I have the original shiny Charizard. I have a lot of original cards in there.
Really? Oh shit.
Yes. And let me tell you, I need to get that thing evaluated because I want to make sure it's actually appraised right
Mhm.
because I think it's worth a lot of money and I need to be able to frame it because like you can't find that anymore. It's really
Mhm.
hard. You can hardly find any of the original prints. It was so funny. I can definitely tell the quality of cards have changed. They're not that great today. Because I looked at because I have 2 nephews who are
Mhm.
getting the Pokemon cards, and of course the Pokemon
Mhm.
cards today have today's prints and everything.
Oh, yeah, it's
Comparing
rust.
com- comparing
Mhm.
the original decks versus the today's decks, I'm just like, man, the quality is just not there anymore. It's just not. It's a level of thickness and weight and the design is different. It's just not, I don't know. There's not the artistry is just not there anymore, in my opinion. But a lot of the original cards had actually the original artwork on them before the show. So it was
Mhm.
based on I think it was based more on the game designs more than anything else. Because Pikachu is totally different from the show. Pikachu
Mhm.
on the original design, especially I think on the Nintendo Play Guide and definitely the Pokemon card is complete. You can tell it's Pikachu, but he just looks a little like the style of him is a little different. Like you can tell. And I can't, I don't you can just tell some of the designs are just a little different. It's just the style is just slightly different and you can tell. Um but I don't know, the quality of the cards today is just not the same in my opinion.
You gotta play the TCG with me when I play.
I just was never into the play card
I
game part
promise
of
you,
it.
I promise you, you will literally learn it in less than 5 minutes, and you will have fun. It is so simple.
I didn't necessarily say the art designs, Michael. I said the way that the style of the design, not
You're talking
the
about the feel of the cards itself, like the
well,
quality
just
of
like
the
the
paper.
design on the cards, not necessarily the like the Pokemon art, the Pokemon picture themselves. I'm talking about the way it's designed and everything on the with the card. I don't know how to describe it with like the skills and everything. It just doesn't look the same.
All right, the lady, you're playing Pokemon with me. Stop it. Stop. Michael, stop it. You're taking her away from me. We're doing this.
Hey, Power World is actually great. I actually enjoy that.
Really?
As yeah,
You do? Okay.
that actually really it reinvigorated my love for monster, playing with
Mhm.
like a monster team kind of thing.
Power World is solid, hard to play when you're alone, though, like most surviving building games. I'll be honest here, I never felt that. You know, back in the day when I used to play video games, you'd play games alone in solitary form. That was fun. I used to play like Left 4 Dead 2 alone by myself. I just found it fun. I played Call of Duty games by myself with no internet connection because I found it fun. You know?
I
Like,
play Power World by myself. I mean, it might be a little difficult without so many people because you have to do a lot of things yourselves, but that's what the pals are for. You have to really
boomer with everything.
almost like a boomer.
Oh god.
Yeah, your young whippersnappers have no respect for the elderly. You know, that's in the Bible there.
You're like 33. You're not even that much older than we are. What the hell?
No, it's not an L. I know what I'm talking about.
You're like,
I don't hop on the new trends like all you young whippersnappers are.
What do you want us to do? Do you wear corsets, lady?
I don't wear dresses above the ankle. What are you talking about?
God, you're gonna style your hair the way the girls did back then with crazy styles where you're like your hair is long, but it's like straightened out to where it's just short. No,
I want the 1960s, 70s beehive style.
Women have afros. You can go.
Oh my gosh,
fam, you got a good lord, man. So I'll try to get her into playing the TCG. I guarantee you, some of your nephews could also do too. It's very kid friendly. Pokemon as a brand just appeals to kids so well, and they can also buy Pokemon product and redeem the product on the website. On our website, the actual application for more free stuff because they're just like giving out free stuff like Oprah does. Honestly.
Oh, so it's not free to play?
No, it is free to play. Make an account's free to play, and they give you a bunch of decks, and you win gold by playing against other people, and you can just turn that gold in for more stuff.
Oh, okay.
And if you bought product, you said your nephews buy the cards. The product.
Well, technically, other people buy the cards for them, meaning they're not old enough. They're not old enough to buy things by themselves.
So, like on the product, they'll have this. They'll at the end of the cards, the real cards, they have that like promo thing. I don't know if they're probably throwing them all away, but they probably shouldn't. On that little promo card, the back of it that has a code, you could put the code into the game, and they give you free digital packs each time. They probably throw all of them just away, for being honest here.
I no, because that involves that's too much. If there's cost involved, no, they're not going to be doing that. And plus, they're not allowed to be online. So,
I was saying, just in case they were made an accounts online, they could also redeem their own stuff. So your pack purchase is not totally worth it. But I was thinking, take them to go play Pokemon TCG at a local card shop. It sounds something you just go to, do with them. It's fun.
It is funny. When I showed them my original cards or whatever, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you have this, you have that!" Like, because I think they have a mix of like Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, maybe 5 and 6 in the card packs or something like that. I'm not sure how they're doing the card packs these days, but it was so funny. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you have the same card." And we were comparing the two where like the design of the card is a little different. Their skills are different. The energy amounts are different. And I was showing them like if they played with it, I said, if this is requiring 2 normal energies, you need to have 2 normal cards normal energy cards down to be able to demonstrate the attack or, the passive attack or something like, just trying to show them or tell them how to be able to. I don't know the full rules of the game, but I was just showing them, what would you, if you want to use these attacks against your opponent, then you need to use these energy cards for this reason. So they were loving looking at it and everything. I even have Pika. Back then they called it stuffed animals. Now they call it plushies. I don't understand. But I have a Pikachu one up on my shelf here, and I showed him to them, and yeah, it's like copyright 1999. So plug your Twitter in the chat. If you want. I actually have.
She's not a mod. She actually can't.
Hold on. Let me see. I have this. Oh, come on.
I would have to because now since they like you more than me, they're gonna go sub to your channel. They're gonna go sub to all your stuff. God, man, you guys are such cloud chasers.
I mean, I have my opinions on things, but you're gonna follow. Hey, look, Michael, you want to put my Twitter, plug in my Twitter, even though I'm a Pokemon boomer, huh?
Yeah,
You want
to
make fun of me for that?
You literally said two things can be true. You can have two thoughts, right? You're a boomer and you're a cloud chaser. That's two different things now at this point.
Oh gosh. Remember, hold on. Remember, if you dislike something so much, why are you even watching it?
We've come full circle to everything we talked about earlier. Oh
I know. God. It's just so funny because this is what these are talks that I miss about, like the nerd talks where, y'all in chat, y'all are saying, oh, you're a Pokemon boomer or whatever, but I have my own opinion.
She's gonna never let that one go. And that was Michael that said that. God, Michael, you bat. Common Michael L. The man's always stacking up the L's.
I should probably add that to my profile. Pokemon boomer, get off my lawn.
She didn't come into the church of Piplup and Chimchar and Turtwig. Like, what is wrong with this lady? Crazy. Me too. I hate watch MSK. Oh my god. I hate watch MSK. What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. Because it was crazy, guys. She stood me up to try to do this because she was scared I was going to say something. And then she came on and she loved it. See, all the women, I have receipts. All the women that come on really enjoy when they come on. They always talk about me. Top G stuff there,
But yeah, so it's I mean, I love missing, having these conversations, but I feel like a lot of these spaces have been infiltrated by people who are just hopping on the trend train. And I guess maybe that's where my boomerism is coming from a little bit, because I do tend to get a little like, I've always liked the older stuff, regardless of where it is or where I came from into it. Like, I started off with Gen 1 Pokemon. I started off with the original cast of Digimon, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, I almost want to be like, all right, if you're going to enjoy something new today, you need to be able to look at it from the way back then. Now, granted, obviously there are people who, come into something new. I appreciate it if they actually look into, like, it's kind of like if people jumped into the prequel era of Star Wars, I would hope that they would watch the original movies to be able to appreciate where all that came from. So it's kind of like in that regard, in my opinion. I mean, of course, I didn't see Star Wars, when it was just Star Wars in the theater, but I have parents who showed me and I grew up with the original. So there's a difference with that. But I appreciate everyone who, wherever they jump into a franchise or jump into an IP, I appreciate their jumping point, but also if they actually do care about it, that they actually kind of play or learn or watch or whatever, anything that came before it, to be able to understand where things came from. And I don't think a lot of people do that these days. That's what I was noticing a lot when it was the Pokemon Go craze with a lot of the Facebook groups, because people were jumping in on it. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't look like you'd be a Pokemon fan. And sure enough, I mean, you wouldn't ask that question, but sure enough, there were so many people that never played the games, never got in on it. And they were trying to bully other people. I mean, the whole bullying concept now of bullying people, us out of our own, out of our spaces, that didn't start today. That
Isn't this
started a
mostly a
long.
woman thing? Woman, like weird, cringy women that didn't like nerd stuff came in, invaded male spaces or nerd dominant spaces, and just try to make it in their image. And it's like they're like, it wasn't popular for a week on
It
this, and
wasn't.
it's like,
It's definitely.
what?
It's definitely a
Well,
lot more. It's definitely a lot more women, but I've seen it. I've seen it with guys too. Like guys do
mhm,
this. Some guys do the same thing. The ones that were always. I always describe it as this:
mhm.
the ones that are trying to jump into these spaces to push us out were also the same bullies in school that bullied us for liking our hobbies.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's just they know it's trendy, it's mainstream, it's popular, so therefore, all of us who grew up, like I have, a bunch of stuff to prove it. All of a sudden it's like, oh no, we're being pushed out of now we're being told that our hobbies are not made for us anymore. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, God. That's what I was seeing a lot with the Pokemon Go community and the Facebook groups. Now,
Mhm.
granted, that might be different maybe it was just my area of where I lived,
Mhm.
but I know I had a discussion with somebody else who experienced something similar in a different area of the country. So I I don't know. I don't know if certain experiences like that do tend to leave a sour taste in my mouth for very good
Mhm.
reasons. And I did not play Pokemon Go after that. I think they had just introduced Gen 2 into the lineup. Go Star Wars, get Rudy.
Hey, this thing, everyone usually comes around to agreeing with me. It's a natural knack that I have for conversation.
uh,
But I don't like women that don't like Infernape or Piplup. That's my red flag. I judge them by their taste in
you're not
Pokemon starters.
you're not gonna make me agree to it. It's not gonna work. No. But anyway, so it's the thing. I didn't play Pokemon Go until I think they had
Mhm.
just released Gen 2, and I think there was so much drama in the Facebook groups. I mean, you're not talking about like a couple of people. You're talking
Mhm.
about like thousands of people joining these Facebook groups. And I left because I was like, here I am trying to trying to give advice, help out, we're all trying to, do stuff. And then these people who are jumping in because it's a trend and it's a new thing, they, they try to be very elitist. And I would ask them after a while. I started getting really mad and I started asking them what's their favorite Pokemon and they couldn't really name it. And I was just like, I peace out. I'm done. Like I
You know
just
that favorite part about the tractor things? Honestly, like you said before, broken cock or broken clock, right? Once a day. That one is actually not bad because that's the thing that people talk. That's the thing that people say in most media. It's like, what's your favorite part of whatever franchise or movie or whatever you're consuming? I don't know why some of the Eric's Life fans thought that was a diss. Now, I got the context in which that's used is the gotcha. I understand that, but the overall just if you take the way of it, the aspect of it makes perfect sense. You can tell if someone actually really potentially, if you didn't read or watch this and you're talking about it so confidently, then I mean, if you don't even have a favorite part, I know you didn't watch. This is you're just let's say performative virtue signaling or whatever the fucking is. Like if someone doesn't have a favorite Pokemon, they're talking confident. Like, what the hell? Like what? It's
I mean it's
I
like
don't get it.
if like even if it's one that I don't recognize. I appreciate and if they go like it's they'll say just a random Pokemon.
Her was
I'll just
Charizard.
let's just say let's just say although we know Magnemite, let's just say it like that. We know
Yeah.
Magnemite, but let's just say it's a new Pokemon name that none of us have heard, I haven't, not everybody has heard or, is really gotten up on the latest games. And if they explain why afterwards, I appreciate that. It's kind of like, all right, I know they actually care about the IP itself to know what to talk about. And it's just like, or describe the thing why they like it. And it's kind of like, or if I ask further questions like, well, why do you like it? Like, is it the skills? Is
Or
it
yeah,
the
if you don't
yeah?
have a
It's
favorite
if it's
Pokemon,
a
you could
look.
say what makes you like it. What's your favorite part of a movie or something or whatever, you know?
Yeah, but a lot of these people were not like that. MSK,
Mhm.
they just They just came in because it was the new and latest thing to jump onto. Yeah. And it was, I don't know. Raichu is greater than Pikachu except for anime
This man's
Pikachu.
trolling. This man is
I
stacking the L's today.
I know. I know.
No, I'm not saying people don't have to have favorite parts. It's like, what do you like about said thing? Some people can't even describe what they like. You can tell, it's so easy to tell when someone's fake. I promise you, if you've been in this enough to know, you can spot when someone's fake. It's so easy.
It's like this. You can even be certain levels of a fan. Like,
yeah.
For instance, I am a Pokemon fan, but my favorite level of Pokemon, as far as fan is being a fan, are the games. I don't know a whole lot about. I mean, I remember watching the show, but I may not remember that too much. Unlike I like a Digimon show because that stuck with me. But I'm not too much of a crazy person about the trading card games. It's just like that with with Star Wars, there's different levels of different multiple platforms in terms of being a fan. Not everyone has read the comics, not everyone has read the books, not everyone has played the games, not everybody has read, I would hope though, if it's the main, I wouldn't know if Pokemon the show or it's the game. I think the games were the main part. But like Star Wars, as far as being the main source of the IP, are actually the movies. So if you haven't seen the movies, I would be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
At least that may not be your favorite part, but at least see the movies. It's
like I would call myself right now some
people are like they like the Rogue Squadron part of Star Wars. That's fine. They're fans of that. Like they're fans like that everywhere.
That's something that you can name that you like because you've watched the material.
Yeah.
If you ask her, like, there's that one weird bitch, Katie did, where she hasn't read comics, but she'll say she read manga. But that's a disingenuous way of putting things because people are asking her what is her favorite comic book. When they're saying that, they're talking about DC Marvel Image stuff. Because the manga part is a deflection and it's disingenuous because manga is completely separate from what we consider as American comic books. So you can tell someone's not a fan. That's how you can tell someone's faking it. Manga is Japanese comics, but that's not the question at hand. It'd be like if I asked you, what's your favorite Pokemon or a Pokemon moment? And then you started saying things like, well, I love playing the games. And it's like, well, what? What the fuck? It's like, huh? It's something that the police taught me when I was going to be a cop. A cop goes to someone and they ask someone, hey, were you here? Like, were you here at such and such location? And they'll say something like, well, my dad was having sex with this other girl and I didn't know. Like, what the hell are you talking about, crackhead? What?
Well, it's just like, it's like, I remember watching this, okay. I couldn't really, and I think it's just, what was it? There were other shows that I liked more than I know. Ha ha, Michael.
God, man. Michael, why are you making her? Is she gonna get mad at me and she's gonna yell at me later on?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, it's all because of your chat, MSK. No, it's all good. This is good. This is nerd, ribbing on each other. This is good. Ripping on each other.
I hate all mid-icle.
mid. Oh, I'm not saying that. Mid-hail.
Mid-hail. Good. That's a good Lord, man. I don't do this with you guys anymore.
But it's stuff like, what is it? I know, that's why I say I'm more primarily on the games because I can't really name too many things in the show because it's not like that was my favorite, obviously, because we've already talked about how I like both shows, Digimon and Pokemon. I think they're different their own way, but I prefer if Digimon and Pokemon were on at the same time. That's what I would be watching, Digimon.
Yeah.
So there's that. It's I don't really, people are a fan of what they like in terms of they like it with respect to the universe or what's out or what's already been established in the IP itself. You can still enjoy because that's what I love about these types of franchises or like Star Wars, there's Marvel now with well, not today, but you know what I'm talking about. The
Definitely.
Marvel that we liked. There's different levels and different tiers of things that you can enjoy. And I mean, there were back then it was the comics and it was the animated shows and then it was and now it's the movies and it's just like there's so many different there's so many different elements and characters you can enjoy and I don't that's why I can't it's you can't it's hard to consume I know there are people who do this but they consume one thing because it's so big and so large, which is great.
And like you said earlier, there's different ways of being fans. The fans that people won't understand that we're talking about in this episode is the people that claim to be fans and they claim that first of all, X popular franchise was never as popular until they got in it. That's usually always a red flag when someone says that. That's always generally a red flag. And then they'll talk so confidently, and you just ask them basic stuff about anything, just common knowledge stuff. Even a person that would know if they just been in it for a while. And if they don't even know that stuff, that's come on, like. Just admit, hey, you're new to this. You didn't know it was popular before, and you're trying to get more knowledgeable. But people can't do that because it's not just ego. People just always can't admit when they're wrong on anything, even on those small stuff like nerd stuff that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. People just and it's not even really about gatekeeping. I'm not even trying to gatekeep in that necessary sense. Just don't profess you're a knowledgeable fan about something if you aren't. Why? No one would care if you weren't. People would actually just be more willing to help you out with knowledge about something if you just admitted, hey, I'm not that knowledgeable on this. Can you help me out? That's more respectable than going like, hey, I know this and this and this. Get questioned on anything. I no response usually is the way to go for those people. They don't know anything. They don't even know, like, you know what's crazy about following fandoms? Like you say anime or like all that stuff is that if you were there at certain moments in time for it, you would know specific things about why these things came to be.
Right,
the person
exactly.
that came in won't know those things. People won't know in intricate parts of what happened in certain things because they weren't a part of it. You can easily tell these things.
Right.
And that's okay. We didn't grow up at the same time with certain stuff. You're not going to know everything. That's fine. But just to act like you do is the problem. Someone who's basically pretending to be a fan and acting like they're the biggest fan of something when they don't even know the basic stuff is always like, nah, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just like what I said earlier. There's multiple points of entry that people come into these fandoms because now we're talking generations, decades worth of the IP.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Marvel. I mean, look how much the storylines have changed with that over time. So if you're
YuGiOh, I'm not the hugest fan of YuGiOh because I haven't been that much into it, and I don't even profess to be a YuGiOh expert or anything. I'm more of like a casual when it comes to like YuGiOh and Transformers. I know of them, I like them to some degrees. I've seen some shows based around them, but I would never go into like a Transformer group and go, I know everything about this. I'm the knowledgeable expert. Like, I wouldn't do that. It's stupid.
That's where I'm like, I'm for gatekeeping, but we have to remember that now a lot of these IPs, they're generational at this point. So you can't, I mean, even the most diehard comic fans that I know have told me, because I'm like, all right, I'm not I never dived into the comics. I never had that ability, never had that opportunity to. Where should I start? And they just kind of look at me and they just go, I will have to give you quote unquote eras of comics that are better than others, and that's the thing. Like it's the same thing with like I grew up with the original trilogy of Star Wars. That's really my Star Wars. I do like the prequels, and I appreciate the prequels and what they
there is
gave
something that did happen recently that for Star Wars that you might like. Honestly, because you said you're not the comics. There was this era after the original trilogy ended. It was called like the Dark Empire and everything with like Thrawn. It's basically a direct sequel to that.
I am reading the books. I made it a point to, all right, so there's definitely clearly other Star Wars out there that I appreciate. I love the prequels, but I don't think they're as high quality as
they're so bad. How?
I love them because there are definitely things there are definitely good things about them. It's just I don't think they're as high quality as the originals, and that's just my opinion. Not saying anybody I'm not attacking anybody on that because I know there's some people who are
I
just
am. Prequels
diehard
suck.
prequels. But like for me, I'm like I like I like the original movies,
Mhm,
and so I decided to start reading because my brothers read some EU books back in the day,
mhm.
um, but I never truly got into them at all. And I'm like, "Ugh, I need to really read into them." And to be quite honest, I want to see, now that the Disney sequels are out, I want to be able to get into what the real sequels are. So I read Heir to the Empire already, and now I'm in Dark Force Rising. So I'm really looking
Because I
forward.
know they put out recently the Dark Empire, whatever. Because
Mhm.
and you know how you said it's hard to get in because you don't know where to start. Contrary to popular belief, I read comics. I can just tell you this. People say that these things aren't numbered. That's a lie.
Mhm.
So I will answer what they mean. You know how people say you can't start at volume 1?
Mhm.
Yes, that is true. But when things are collected in trade, they have volume numbers on there. I'll just say this is the new Transformers series by Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike
Mhm.
Spence. You probably heard about. This is a trade that collects the first 6 issues. And the reason why you know it'll be the beginning of it is because it says volume 1 on the book. If you're talking about collected stories as far as trades, they'll literally say volume 1 of whatever story arc you're starting on.
Mhm.
Star Wars has that too with the new recent epic collections. The one I'm getting for what I just told you, like the Dark Empire, whatever.
Mhm.
It would say volume 1 to start at that point for that. If you're just continuing off the original trilogy,
Mhm.
So when people say it's not numbered, that's not true. I know what they mean. Where like you can't just directly start at volume 1 for that entirety. But there are volume 1s, 2, and 3 for whatever story arc you're following. Another easy way to start in comics is this is what DC started doing. This is cheap too. This is really cheap. So like manga is the biggest thing now. DC went and started making DC Compact Comics, which is this. So basically, it's like manga size collections for popular character story arcs. The entire thing for only $10. So you ever heard of Batman, right? The Court of Owls. That the
Mhm.
popular thing people have said. They put the entire Court of Owls saga in this one book for $10. That's it. The whole thing. No
Wow.
previous reading required. You just read this entire. It even tells you right here. I think it's right here. It says Batman, all the issues collected 1 through 11, whole saga right there. You get it, $10. Pretty easy, right?
Mhm.
There's ways I can help you, lady.
Well,
That's
it's
why they
just
call me Big G.
well, it's just like, I
And I
never
have Dogman books too.
I never got to play a lot of the Star Wars games either. I can't remember the one game. It was
What's the really popular one that everyone talks about? It's
oh,
the.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Did you play that one? I played no Star Wars
No.
games ever.
No, but I have it on Steam and I
Mhm.
am going to be playing it. I've also been playing the Jedi Academy, Star Wars, I think Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy game. That's the one where you get to create your character. And you play as like a student in Luke's academy. So I'm, that's the kind of era that I like. Like I love, with having there's really
Lamar,
only
what's up, buddy?
That's as with having so many different eras in Star Wars, I'm probably far more likely to get involved into the Old Republic and probably the Jedi Academy stuff because I like those particular eras. Well, for
Yeah.
one, the Old Republic is such a fascinating historical part of the galaxy that I'm just like, okay, this is cool. This is really interesting. So if anybody, I think there is a book out there or a couple books, I'm not sure, but if anybody has any recommendations on Old Republic, especially, based around the game, if there are books out there, please let me know because I would love to read some of them.
I forgot. The fan term is called the Dark Empire, but you use it for it's the New Republic. Since we're talking about it, the Epic Collection right now for the New Empire.
Mhm.
The New Republic. Epic Collection 1 came out back in 2015 on Amazon. It's just like $10 for a paperback, which I'm getting. I'm
Wow.
definitely gonna get that. And volume, I saw volume 2 at my Barnes and Nobles, but it was volume 2, and it was like, okay, I can't start there. I gotta get number 1. Just telling people, hey, there are ways of getting into this stuff. I'm trying to remember if I was looking at the right one. Let me try and see if I can get the right one. Yeah, the New Republic Omnibus came out. Volume 2 did. So yeah, you're right. It's New Republic. So I may make sure I'm getting the right thing. Obviously, they've had reprints of it. They've had ways of telling it more in a more cohesive way. I'll put this on. I'll probably put this in my cart. So when I get paid this week after I pay my bills, I'll get that for you. You know what we should do? We got to go through the New Republic. You said.
Yeah, because I
don't care if you pirate it. I literally don't care. As long as we're actually reading it, we're fine.
Well, see, that's why I want to read Heir to the Empire series, because I want to be able to see what the vision was for back then in terms of what's the because with Disney it's dismal.
Content's great.
Vomit.
Couldn't say that
anyway,
at all.
I know, and it's so I just want to see it from that perspective, like the Heir to the Empire, playing Jedi Academy, all that kind of stuff. I just want to get that feel of it, because man, it's so lacking today in terms of good quality Star Wars, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me go ahead and actually take the time and play and read and what all that jazz of good quality Star Wars. It's still out there. Some people have said that they've given up on Star Wars because of all the Disney stuff. People can do that, but for me, there's so much more to explore. It's almost brand new to me. So I'm happy to dive into that.
And people said, "Oh, Star Wars is dead." Well, yeah, could be dead in this current iteration of the era, but there's plenty of stuff that even I've not experienced. I didn't even grow up even liking Star Wars. I only watched all that stuff in 2021 when we did a movie project for it on YouTube, and I have Darth Vader comics. I usually try to keep up with those. It's like the only decent thing I think I like out of them now. But I'll tell people before, if something in the current iteration of a franchise isn't doing it for you, see if there's something else in there from the past you haven't discovered yet. Because remember, you've not consumed everything. That's always the thing. You've never consumed everything.
Yep, exactly.
The last thing I'll ask you before we head out. Oh, sorry, the last few things. No, because then I'll go into another long story. I'll just hit that for the second appearance then. But this one. Are you going to get back into making content a lot more consistently? Are you taking a break? Because you left your fans. You did what Disney did. You left them. How could you do that?
Hey, at least I can deliver on being inconsistent. Unlike some people that we know who cannot deliver consistently. But anyway.
4 years late on content? All right, turns out you might be someone else,
But anyway, I'd like to. I am there's some personal things going on right now that I don't I think you probably have seen in the group chat that we're in, but I don't want to. That's private.
She tells me privately because I have her ear. I have her number too. I'm just kidding.
But
like that.
I do hope to get back into consistent content. I know haven't done anything to my YouTube channel in a long time. There are some plans. I have ideas. I just need to be able to bounce off with people of what's the best approach, what's good, what's not good. What not them saying I want to use their best practices, but also create my own vision, if that makes sense. Busted. But
want to be successful, crazy.
But at the same time, it's my life is a mess. Let's just put it that way. It's all over the place.
Yeah, well, you told me privately. Yeah, it's good Lord, man.
It's a mess, and have to balance between that part of my life as well as balancing, family and obligations and everything else. So it's kind of, it's really hard to remain consistent. I would like to be consistent. I would like to be able to carve out time for myself in doing things and have it scheduled that way. But sometimes other people have other opinions on that. So it's balancing everybody else's life. So that's what I do.
In everyone else's life instead of your own. It's weird. That's what women are, though. Women are the givers. Well, content-wise.
That tends to be me all the time. I just
why are you doing too much giving and not enough receiving, lady? Come on, what are you doing here?
It's Gosh. Let me get the
Let me
psychology
get the diary out.
psychologist account couch out and tell you my whole life. No, just kidding. But anyway, no, it's just hard because you're trying to balance everything and balance everybody else's happiness as well, and it's can be extremely difficult sometimes. But while trying to meet your own, I feel that Mags, I spent that better part of this year living a bad country song. Oh man, I mean it's true. That's what I feel like, Mom. That's how it feels like.
But if people do want to consistently see you, you're on Nomi's show, Dames and Dorks, pretty consistently. Some weeks you haven't been on because you've been busy, right?
Yeah, I'm on sabbatical right now. I will be back. Don't worry, guys. But please check them out on Dames and Dorks. I think that is tonight at 8:00 Eastern time. So 5 p.m. Pacific. Please check out the other ladies as well. They're great people. So yeah, please, keep a watch out for them and make sure you get notified so you can keep an eye out. So.
Yes. And the last few things. First thing is anything you want to,
Plug.
chill for the audience. Basically say that you got anything planned coming up for the rest of the year.
I can't think of anything, but I would like to make a shout out for somebody. I'd like to shout out my good friend, the Real Tomby. I think you guys have seen him as a mod for the F&T crew, and as he's a good guy, great friend, and he's trying to he's trying to collaborate a website and get together a website to be able to shout out all the content creators in our space. So I think he's, I love the fact that he has great intentions and he's following through on them. And it's a great concept. It's a great idea. So shout out to the Real Tomby. I think he is Tombly Booze on YouTube. He's also on Twitch and Kick. So please watch him. He's a great dude. So yep.
Yeah, Max chose to sub to him over me. Crazy, man. Feels bad, man.
Hey, you told me to shill, so I'm shilling for Tomby. Excuse me.
I like Tomby. We have to schedule a day where we got to talk ourselves because he's in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, good lord, man. It's like an 8-hour difference there. That's what Jack Tar led to. It was like, Jack Tar led on. It's because people understand it's already hard doing this, what we're doing with navigating EST to PST. Now do that for 8 hours more. It's like, oh my god, it's crazy. It's not something I could averagely keep up though. So yeah, Max is coming back, guys. She's not like my dad. She'll eventually be back.
I hope the chat like this conversation. I know it's all over the place, and I'm sure there are people who left because of my opinions on Pokemon or whatever. But
yes, she's Pokemon boomer. God,
canceled. Hashtag cancel Max.
She didn't let Sinnoh into her heart. She didn't let Piplup in. How could you? The little cute penguin guy. I'm gonna get you a penguin plushie for your birthday.
No, I want a Mareep. I like a Mareep plushie. You know what a Mareep is?
A Mareep. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's Gen 2.
Mareep. Oh my goodness, the little
He's an electric sheep.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Oh my god, guys! Look, MSK is being called out on stream.
I can't remember
right that he is not a true Pokemon fan.
The electric one?
Yeah,
it's electric. Yeah, I remember. It was like a sheep. Yeah. I was thinking of the other evolution, the pink one.
You hear that, guys? He's trying to cover his ass.
I was thinking of Flaffy. Oh my god. I was thinking of Flaffy. Oh my god. I can't hear, read, or see. I'm basically Ray Charles and Helen Keller put together. Oh my god.
It's okay, Max. Everyone dishes they know.
To be fair, if she does that, she'll be no better than every other woman, though, and she won't want to have that reputation. See, there you go. And I got a guilt trip her into staying. Your dad left you for a good reason. She will probably. Oh my. Okay, now we're just getting dark here. Oh my god. James hates you. Massive L. Oof. Oh, the shame. That even hurts worse. Yeah, you gotta shame women into coming back. Actually,
no, they're talking about shaming you for not knowing Mareep.
I was thinking of something different.
I knew. I was trying to think, like, is that the first or the second evolution? My brain messed the two up. But yeah, as you guys know, well, speaking of this episode, as we end it in just a minute here, this is the longest episode I think I've ever did with a single person ever. Even when I had my original show back in the day, it doesn't exist anymore because that channel's gone.
Hopefully it doesn't mess up your algorithm too much.
No, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You're the female that's lasted the longest with me throughout this time. So I've been
That's
the
what
longest.
he said.
This is the longest I've lasted with a woman on stream. The longest before was 2 hours and 30 minutes, and that was with Carol Brown. Actually, that was our first ever one-on-one. That was like episode 29. Holy crap,
Wow.
what a throwback that was. Crazy. But yeah, last thing I'll ask. Anything you want to say before we head out, actually? Oh, sorry. Oh my God, my brain's working. Crap. You have any shout outs we can get to anyone in particular and anything else you want to say before we head out?
Nope, I really don't. I can't think of anything other than, shouting out Tomby and just following him for more content. So.
She's not giving me any clout, guys.
Oh, MSK, stop.
God, man, it's over. Feels bad, man.
I'm gonna dramatically leave the group chat that we're in and be like,
yeah. She hasn't fulfilled on her content obligations in 4 years. Time to get refunds. That's not true. That's not true. I last forever.
I'm dying.
I don't even need Viagra. I just can last. I would say end the stream while you're ahead, but right? Oh my God. Say I'm your favorite chatter. No. All right, guys. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Iron Man podcast. It was great to have Mags on for the first time. I wanted to make sure this lasted a long time because I'm dead. She made sure to always stand me up, so I want to make sure I got the most out of her the first time. I want to make sure it was a special first time. See you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Good night. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.